Hello, I am here. No, we're not watching Malevolent right now, actually. Hello. Is chat working? Who knows? It is. Woo! Oh, hello, hello, hello. Let's test the Sims and make sure it's fucking working. Because I haven't tested it yet. Oops. Alright, fingers crossed here. Update required. Bro, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. This is true, West Coast is the best. Alright, well, while that's updating, hopefully it doesn't fucking break everything. We are going to listen to some Queen while we're playing, because why not? Why not? But yeah, we're gonna listen to some Rotten Mango while we're playing. But I'm thinking, yes, exactly, it's like officially fall right now, so yeah. Okay. This is this is what we're gonna listen to. High school boy inherits $500 million, then marries a stranger. 2 hours later, falls to his death. We're gonna listen to that. Yeah. Cause what the fuck? Oh, it updated already. Fuck yeah. Let's do this. Hopefully it doesn't fuck up. Let me get this queued up here and then we will start playing it. Oh, why does this always open on this fucking screen, dude? I don't want it on that screen. Alright, seems like it's working though. It's like a weirdly small window for it, but whatever. Okay, the mods are working. Damn, okay, seems like it just works. Whew, that's rare. There's, oh. Dude, I need to need like a checklist before I get on YouTube. Oops. Thank you. I got this skirt. It's like, to be fair, it's like slightly too big for me. I had to roll it up because like it's a little big actually, but rolled up, fits perfect. We're chilling. I feel like skirts should definitely be worn more, or I guess, yeah, it's a skirt, yeah. Right, love skirts. They're the best. That's like all I would wear in elementary school, dude. Cause like multi-function. Dude, I hate when like shit is charging and then all of a sudden it makes the charging noise and I'm like, you've been on the charger actually, what the hell? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Okay. Let me swap over to the game setup here. Of course. Why does it do this to me? It always, it always switches over. There we go. All right. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I built it brick by brick. On stream. Okay. Let me start up the queen. Let me get you guys a link really fast. Because you're probably going to want to watch it, because I'm sure there will be visual things to go with it. So I'll put the timer up. Do we have a spot for the timer on this? I feel like we do. Okay. Okay. Do we have a spot for it? Yeah, we do. Okay. Good, good. All right. Let's... He's a very good peaceful munch. He's a good kitten. He's a good kitten. Baby. He's been pretty good today. Ooh, nice. Okay. All right. Let's play the thing and then we'll play the game. All right. 3, 2, 1, play. Sorry, I'll turn it up.
A giant human-sized Stanley cup. You would need a ladder to get to the very top of the cup. You fill this room-sized cup with liquid nitrogen and you lower the temperature to -320 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you jump inside. You would not be able to survive more than a few seconds in this type of environment, but that is the secret to immortality. That is how you live forever. Dippin' Dots. They actually make their ice cream that way. You know those little yummy ice balls that taste like rainbow sherbet? They're flash frozen in this cryogenic process that uses.
All right, I want to like build actual houses today. Because we need more buildings that are not ugly.
Of $200,000.
Did we finish building my house by the way?
If you don't have $200,000,
we did,
and
didn't
you have
we?
perhaps closer to $100,000, you could just flash freeze
We did.
your
We
head,
did our best.
keep it in the cooler.
All right.
They'll find you a new
We're
body.
gonna build a new house.
They'll wake you up. Good morning. Find you a new body and attach you. The whole point of cryogenics is that perhaps one day we as humans
find a new body and
develop the
attach you
science
for
to
sure.
bring people back, revive patients, and eventually even cure them and treat them of the diseases that killed them in the first place.
Do we want to do like an apartment? I feel like we want to low-key do an apartment.
You can't bring back a clump of ashes or a body that's turned into fertilizer inside of a coffin. You can only bring back bodies that have been preserved, kept in the freezer.
Should we build up a? I'm gonna build a new. I'm gonna build a random sim for us to move in. That way we have just more NPCs to interact with for our main gameplay. Because we need to fill the world out a little more with less.
You could even set your life insurance
of the normal NPCs that are there.
That you can get frozen.
Let's see. Honestly, not a bad start. I love when I get this default sim, because this is one of the presets I'll get. It's way better than some of them.
They were frozen sperms or eggs, frozen embryos. And we found the science, right? So why can't we find the science later? They write, in a sense, those people were cryogenically frozen, and yet they are alive
Let's
today.
see.
Listen, I'm not saying I support this argument.
How about
that's just the argument that they
do...
have. But a lot of people think the whole situation is kind of eerie.
I'm
First
gonna
of all,
see how many times I want to do randomizing. A lot of randomizing.
Second of all, it just feels wrong.
So,
like it's going
as much as I like this default sim, I want to make it harder for myself.
Third, it's just kind of plain stupid is what people say. One cryobiologist says, I mean, there's absolutely no current way, no proven scientific way to actually freeze a whole human down to that temperature without completely destroying, and I mean obliterating the tissues.
Okay, 9.
So there's actually no proof that
Randomize 9 times 1.
Anything. But wealthy people everywhere are lining up to freeze their bodies anyway. Side note, they're also freezing
It's getting worse. 4. Okay, it's better.
Into the afterlife.
5.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't, they died anyway.
6.
What's the problem? But in
7.
Taiwan, a wealthy boy is frozen for a completely different reason.
Oh no,
for the past year, a small morgue in Taiwan. He's not.
You know what? That's not a bad
frozen,
start.
But it almost feels like it because
let's randomize this.
An 18-year-old's body has been kept in the morgue freezer, just floating around. May 2023.
4. Okay.
18-year-old Lai suspiciously fell from the 10th floor balcony. The reason that his death has been driving Taiwan and netizens all over the world absolutely insane is the fact that every single thing up to his death is suspicious.
Green friend,
a week
lactose
prior
intolerant.
to Lai's death, he mysteriously inherits $15.5 million, or 500 million Taiwanese dollars. 2 hours before his death, 18-year-old Lai marries a 26-year-old man that he's only met twice. Then he dies.
Okay, 10.
Not only is his death this
we get 10 randomizing for the name,
happened,
for the first name.
But also now,
1,
who gets
2,
his $15.5 million fortune?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alonzo? Alright. Alonzo. Oh god. 8. No, I'm changing this outfit. This is horrible.
By RottenMangoPodcast.com. Just a few disclaimers for today's case. This episode includes mentions of mental health struggles, discussions of alleged self-exit. If these topics are uncomfortable or triggering, please take care of yourself. Reach out to a friend. We will see you in the next one. So with that being said, let's get started. There's a lot of weird things that happen when you work in a morgue.
Okay, if it's
people might not know this, but bodies move when they're
God
dead.
damn it.
When gases are being released by a corpse, think of it like a balloon. They're gonna make noises. They're gonna move their body just because the gas is being slowly released.
Painful.
It can make corpses moan, shift positions. Sometimes they'll even try to sit up suddenly.
Alonzo Wiener.
And then the smell.
Come on.
Yeah, obviously the smell of death, which is not pleasant, and people talk about it all the time. But also, one morgue worker states, "You have smelled nothing until you have smelt the farts of the dead."
Randomized from
Safe
gallery.
To say, being a morgue worker is not an easy job, but even for morgue workers, this incident in Taiwan is weird. This past week, in this small tiny morgue in Taiwan, it's been pretty busy. The first major blow was a week ago. A neighborhood Grandpa Lai, had passed. Everyone in this town knew Grandpa Lai. He lived in this small 2-story
We can randomize from gallery. That's pretty good,
the house is nothing
actually.
grand. It's like 60 years old, the house itself. But not in the original Spanish-style home, selling above market price. Literally in the very humble way. It's 60 years old, and it looks 60 years old. Grandpa and Grandma Lai, they raised their kids in that house. And now they have this grandchild, Lai. Now, Grandma Lai, you would see her every weekend just working at
I'm
the
very
market,
curious how all
selling
these topics are going to
her
connect.
stalls. Unless you knew the family well, you would never even suspect that they were one of the wealthiest families in the entire neighborhood.
I'm going to see how many times I should.
Grandpa Lai, you would see him walking in and out of this house wearing the same t-shirt, shorts, and sandals. He only rode around in his bicycle, not even a motorbike. A bicycle.
7 gallery randomizations.
In and out of.
1.
Every 4 days, you would see him in the same exact
2.
outfit. And then when he would shower after a long
3.
day, he absolutely refuses to use the shower head. He thinks it wastes more water. So he would instead grab one of those large buckets,
6.
collect the water in there, get a pail to collect the water, and then he would use the pail to scoop the water
Okay,
over
we can
himself.
give her a makeover.
That way you don't have the
Glow
water
up.
running the whole
Glow up time.
Well, not for longer.
She's a geek.
Last week,
She's cheerful.
He had fallen in the
And she's
shower
outgoing.
and passed away.
And she wants a
His
big,
body
happy
was cremated
family.
by this very morgue.
Okay,
That was not an easy case. It was very sad.
What happened? You just fell and died?
Yeah, he was very old. He had a lot of health
upgrade. You
conditions,
want
and
more
then he
than
fell, and
that.
I think it made things worse. So that's why they say when you get older, a slip and fall is sometimes a death sentence for people.
So it wasn't anything strange?
No, he didn't die mysteriously, but it was overall a very sad case. But in morgues, you become very familiar with death. All you can hope is, well, he was old. Hopefully he lived a very full life. The
How
morgue
about she
director,
wants to be...
He runs over to Gao. This is a week after Grandpa Lai has been cremated. Gao is this famous forensic expert. Mr. Gao, you have been doing this for 40 years. I have been in this field for 30 years, yes? I have seen many cases, but this is not a normal case. This body is very strange. Gao's like...
Who is this? Morgs?
Yes.
Computer whiz? I feel like
something
computer
weird is going on.
whiz.
I've been running this morgue for the past 30 years, and I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like this. And Gao is like, okay, well, what's going on? The entries just don't make sense. I don't understand how this could have happened.
Rough, bro.
Gao is confused. What do you mean?
She looks like your hands.
This 18-year-old boy
Oh,
fell
no.
from 10 stories tall, from the 10th floor balcony. In terms of broken bones, he just has a broken arm. That's it. A minor broken arm. Not even a severely mangled arm. I just don't believe that he's fallen from the 10th floor. It doesn't make any
outfit,
sense
queen.
to me. But the police are saying he fell from 10 stories tall and passed away. But more than that, this child's grandfather, Grandpa Lai, had passed away a week ago, and he just inherited $15.5 million.
Booty is there, so we're
He suspiciously dies a
chilling.
week after becoming one of the wealthiest residents in this town. Tell me how that makes sense.
How's your
They
posture,
decide to
though?
alert the
Can we
next of
just...
kin.
There we go.
And when you think of the next of kin for an 18-year-old who passed away, you're thinking father, mother, some sort of parental figure, right? But in this case, it's tricky because this 18-year-old also has a husband. He just got married 2 hours before he died, so
That's
who
not
is next
suspicious.
of kin right now?
Or anything.
May 4th, 2023.
That's cute.
So over a year ago from today, around 11 a.m., the local police in Taiwan
That's
get a
cute.
call.
Okay, let's go with that.
Hi, there's a man. What is the man doing? Like, what's going on? He's fainted on the street near the apartment building. I don't really know what's going on. Just please hurry. It's a very vague phone call. Authorities rush to the apartment complex, and clearly there's a medical emergency. Somebody needs their attention. They run down the sidewalk, and there is a man. I mean, you could hardly say a man. He looks like a boy, a very young boy. And the way that he's collapsed, fainted onto the ground is a bit strange. He's laying mostly on this little grass patch next to the apartment building. His head is a little bit on the sidewalk. He's wearing black shorts, a black shirt. The way he's laying, though, is kind of like one of those crime scene body tape cutouts. He's sprawled onto the ground.
That's kind of cute.
Some witnesses state he looked like he was just taking a nap. He laid down on the grass in the sun, fell asleep. That's his posture. But once you look closely, you see he's not waking up. One of his sandals is in the bushes behind him. Another one is near his body. The glasses are not on his face. They're laying next to him in the grass. The police look at the guy next to the boy on the ground. He's 30. He's wearing this like red, white, and black shirt. What's going on? Are you the one that called? I live in this apartment building. I was just walking by and I saw him laying here like this and he's unresponsive. So they call in medical professionals.
Okay.
They rush the boy on the ground to the
Okay,
hospital.
we're doing this.
Doctors try resuscitating him multiple times.
We'll
but after
give
all
her
the
a glow
unsuccessful
up.
attempts, he is pronounced dead. The police don't even know this guy's name yet. They don't find a wallet or ID in his pocket. He's effectively a John Doe, ready to be taken to the morgue. The official report on the police reads, Lu Dao, which basically just means body collapsed suddenly on the ground. I mean, this is a very vague way of describing an incident. It literally means body on the ground, injured.
Ooh, that's
Maybe
cute.
deceased,
Okay.
could be from heat exhaustion, could be from a car accident, could be from murder. It's
Could
very
be from
vague. It
murder.
doesn't tell you the method or anything specific. It's just a body on the ground. Yeah, the police conclude that John Doe likely passed away from an accident, slipped from a balcony or the roof, or passed by self-exit. There's clearly no signs of foul play. That's what they think. There's no signs of physical assault or defensive wounds. Nothing. They do a brief, slightly non-existent sweep of the area, get all the witness statements that they can from all the residents that could have potentially heard or seen something, and they call it a day. They're rather nonchalant about this whole thing, but some of the neighbors are not. They're taking this very seriously. One of the neighbors was
Exactly. Goodbye glasses.
that day. They could feel it.
All right. Well, we need to give her a little less of like the beady, crazy eyes situation happening.
What it means when a snake shows up in your dream?
I like this one.
Good luck. It's a bad omen.
That fits her face a lot
Having a lot
better.
of dreams about snakes. There was one snake who kept following us around, and then there was another snake who was following us around, and then it split up into 3 snakes. One snake split into thirds, and
Like
then
her
3
face
snakes
should be
evolved,
rounder.
and they started chasing us. I mean, it's got to be a bad omen, right? Then the same day we woke up,
feel like she needs
around
different.
11
She
a.m.,
needs bigger
the
lips.
couple, the neighbors, they coincidentally
not
had
those
been
ones.
out on their balcony on the
You
9th
can make it
floor
better.
and heard this loud bang from outside. And they quickly peer over the balcony. They don't see any sort of body. So they are looking over. They don't see anything, and they thought,
eyebrows.
They move on, and now the police are here, and someone has
That's
died.
better.
They've also heard after the fact, the boy that died, he has a motorbike, right? The bike license plate reads 9513. Could you say that, please? 9513.
Getting rid of the hair. Get out of here, hair.
Some said
Can't work with you in
it's
the
for his mom's
way.
birthday, right? But you know what it also
that
sounds
works.
like? Save me, doctor. Say 9513 and then say save me, doctor.
That's crazy.
The police said, okay, that makes sense. You guys are crazy. There are no clear signs of foul play.
That
The
makes
person
sense. You
likely
guys are
jumped
crazy.
self-exited. The neighbors heard a loud bang around the same time. Case closed. Nothing more to see here. Just an unfortunate situation that needs no more investigating. John Doe's body is already at the morgue, ready to be cremated, when the police start getting some frantic calls. A woman named Chen starts freaking out, calling the police nonstop to file a missing persons report. My 18-year-old son, Lai, has been missing since this morning. I can't get in touch. I've tried calling. Nothing. He's not responding. It's been half a day, ma'am, that he's been gone. Okay, he's 18. He could be out with some friends. This does not really seem to warrant our involvement right now. You don't get it. Today was the day that he was going to carry his grandfather to his final resting spot. His grandfather died a week ago. We held a funeral, and now he's going to take his ashes to be placed into his final memorial. Mother Chen tries to explain that her son's grandfather, her father-in-law, had passed a week ago, and this is a very, very big deal, and absolutely nothing
More color in the face.
of being the urn bearer and bringing his grandpa to his resting place. This is a huge deal. He did not take this responsibility lightly, so for him to just disappear and skip an event like this does not make sense. Every single call she's made to him has gone straight to voicemail. This is very out of character. The police ask what he was wearing. She responds, black shorts and a black shirt. And it's finally clicking in the police's mind. Okay, wait. The person that we picked up earlier today, the one that passed away in front of the apartment building, maybe
Why are
it's him.
these
So they asked Chen to come to the morgue,
there we
and that's
go.
when she sees her child.
That's perfect.
It's her little boy, Lai, her 18-year-old son. The police try to tell her, we think he may have taken his own life. What are you saying?
I kind of want her to
That
have
can't be me.
freckles.
She's explaining to them, and she says this over and over again. Trust me, he would never do something like that. What are you saying to me right now? And she wants to know, what was he even doing in that apartment complex to begin with? This doesn't make any sense. You need to investigate.
What do you mean by that?
You know what? I'm doing that.
No,
Full
this is
face
not where they
freckles.
live.
Looks
they
cute.
live in a 2-story house that's 60 years old.
I wish they had better teeth.
The police
options.
find out that's where his husband lives. And
I
now
want her to
Mother
have a
Chen
tooth gap.
is even more
The
confused.
tooth gap is cute.
You're talking about my 18-year-old
I love a good
son,
tooth
husband?
gap,
Like, what do you
personally,
mean husband?
in
First
case
of all,
anyone
he's
was
not
curious.
Gay. Second of all, he's not married.
So
what
cute.
husband are you talking about? The police pull up the records. Just 2 hours
Let's
before he died,
see.
he went and got married to a man that lived in that very apartment building. I mean, there's just no way, right? 2 hours before he suspiciously dies. So Chen is demanding that the authorities look into it. None of this makes sense. First of all, who even is the husband? Second of all, whoever it is needs to be investigated.
Yeah, because who the fuck?
Just a week ago, Lai inherited $15.5 million. So this so-called husband now stands to inherit all of it. If the police go off the timeline that the mother gave them, that means 18-year-old Lai left the house around 7 a.m. to speak with one of the family's property managers about his new asset transfers. The property manager, his name is Junior, and his dad, Sha Senior, so Sha Senior, Sha Junior is how they're referred to.
Yeah,
right? Junior has been working with the family for 20 years. He's 26, but his dad has been involved with the Lai family for the past 2 decades. So this is nothing out of the ordinary.
I want to do the makeup. Get out of here.
There's going to be a lot more meetings now because 18-year-old Lai has to learn how to handle this massive real estate portfolio. Chen tells her son, be home by 9 a.m. Be back in 2 hours so that we can put your grandfather in his final resting place. But instead, at 9 a.m., Lai is at the courthouse getting married to this 26-year-old property manager.
That's so weird.
Lai is 18. Yes. The property manager, Junior, is 26 years old.
Wait. So, Lai is going to finish the asset transfer.
It's pretty much done, but now the property manager is like, I'm gonna show you how to manage this whole massive portfolio you just inherited. But instead, they go to the marriage license office, get married.
What?
It's so weird. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of questions the police want to ask this new husband of lies.
That's like
the first being, why didn't you
smoky
acknowledge
brown
that your
eye.
husband was the man on the ground when you called 911?
Copy that.
This was the man standing next to his body calling 911. He was one of the witnesses.
It's literally
in the
so
red,
fucking
white,
weird.
Black shirt. Why
like,
did he not mention
he
at
obviously
all, hey, that's my husband that I just married?
He
2 hours
obviously
ago."
did it, so.
So crazy.
In fact, the authorities remember asking him, do you know this man?
I know,
And
right?
He said, no,
Same.
he did not. He shook
Same,
his head
same.
and just stood there watching as medical professionals strapped him onto a stretcher and drove
I'll
him
just
away.
remove.
He never asked
It's so much easier when I do the
Tried
first
leaving ambulance.
makeup
Which
round. I
hospital
just
did you go to?
copy it
Is
to
he okay?
everything because it's
Why would
easier to
he?
just
He's a
remove it than it
complete
is to
stranger.
like have to
But he's
fucking
not.
find it
He's
again.
his husband. Why would you not acknowledge your own husband to
I
the
look so
authorities?
bad on those
What are you
lips.
hiding?
Why?
In fact, now that the police think about it, there's so many questions to be asked. Like, why would an 18-year-old marry a 26-year-old? How long have they been dating before getting married? Why did the
think this
18-year-old
one looks
even
better.
inherit so much money? Why would an 18-year-old need to own 15 separate properties amounting to a $15.5 million real estate portfolio? Who is Lai, and how on earth is he so rich? The Lai family has a lot of secrets. But the one thing that's not kept well hidden is Grandpa Lai has a favorite grandchild. He loves his grandbaby Lai. He's even nicknamed him Little Lai. It's argued Grandpa Lai loves Little Lai more than his own children, his other grandchildren. I mean, Lai is the clear favorite. It's not even a competition. But even then, it doesn't make sense that Lai would be the sole heir to the entire family fortune unless
Yeah, that's kind of
Grandpa Lai
unhinged.
and his direct children did something very horrendous. So Grandpa Lai has 5 adult children. 2 sons,
I'm trying to figure out
3
which color
daughters.
goes best.
None of them got any of his money. It all went to his grandchild, Lai.
Does he have other grandchild?
Yes. So none of this makes
That's
sense.
so
Why did it all
weird.
go to just one person? And
That one.
typically, even if you wanted to
Yeah.
go to one grandchild, you might give it to your
Perfect.
child first, and then when they pass it on to
All
their
right.
child.
Ta-da.
This is not very customary.
Cute.
And especially in very traditional
Let's-
Asian families like the Lais.
Arnar.
Someone
Queen,
might split
what
up
are you
the
wearing?
inheritance to be quite equal for all their children. Some might
Ma'am.
choose to give more to their sons than
Let's
their daughters.
find
right?
the hair
But it's
first.
just, this is out of the
We'll
norm.
work back from there.
Now, Grandpa Lai literally made his fortune in the most normal but also unhinged way possible. Just like a little side note, he used to work in the rice milling business with his wife, Grandma Lai.
rice
they would sit
milling
there all day long
business? Which one
removing
is this?
husks from the rice grain.
Dude,
Because
I
every single rice
chose
grain
this
has an outer shell
color.
layer that we don't eat.
There we
You gotta
go.
remove it, right? For that one singular
Cute.
grain of
Okay.
rice. That was Grandpa Lai and Grandma Lai's job. That's all they did every single day.
Damn.
And when they finally had
That
enough money
sounds
saved
like
up, Grandpa
the
Lai
worst
starts
job.
buying up property in the area. And this was at the time when this area was not popping off. So he's buying cheap property that he did not think would ever go up to this value. The area gets gentrified, and now he's worth over $15.5 million USD.
Damn.
Which is 500 million Taiwanese dollars.
That looks pretty good.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but, you know, Grandpa Lai's first
I
2
like that one.
kids, they're sons. Which means everybody expected to get the most
Dang,
inheritance
I
for
wanted
those
to
2
actually be
boys.
yellow.
They got nothing. Neither did his daughters.
The baby blue is
Instead,
her
every
color,
single
though,
penny of
honestly.
property is transferred directly to his grandson Lai, which feels a bit reckless to outsiders. I mean, I'm sure Grandpa Lai's sons and daughters are of age. They're quite mature at this point, likely have their own families. But instead, he gives everything to an 18-year-old grandson.
Cute.
And it's not
There we
even
go.
in a trust. Because sometimes you put the money in a trust and you're like, every month you only get $1,000 to the properties. You could do whatever you want with them at this
OBS,
point.
why
but
do you
you're
do this? Are we
18.
back?
Is he in school, the 18-year-old?
He just graduated high
annoying.
school. He's about to go to college. Which is very, I would say it's kind of a dangerous thing to do and not put it into a trust. It's just
little
not
bit.
the best age, I think, to inherit that much money. In terms of estate planning, this is not the norm.
No.
So why didn't everything
No
get
thanks.
passed down to Lai's father instead of Lai? Well, because
Yeah,
at
that's
that point,
weird.
Lai's dad is dead.
Oh.
Yeah. You could kind of tell that something odd was going on with the Lai family. One day there's so many residents in the Lai house. Then the next, only 3 people are left in that house. Maybe everyone moved to a bigger city, or maybe something strange happened. In the Lai family, like I said, you have Grandma and Grandpa Lai. their 5 adult children, 2 sons, 3 daughters. And it seems like since they were young, Grandpa Lai was the most worried for his second son. Let's call him Sam. His second son was later diagnosed with an intellectual disability, which made it a bit trickier for him to have quote-unquote normal social interactions, if you will, which I think is fine. There's so many ways he can find joy through social interactions that aren't the quote normal way. But Grandpa Lai is so insistent. He's like, my son needs to have a normal traditional lifestyle. He needs to marry a woman and have children with this woman. That is it. I'm not taking anything else. It seems like his son is not even interested. I also don't know if the intellectual disability would impact his ability to consent. Let's hope not. I don't know how severe it is. But regardless, Grandpa Lai is on this mission to marry his second son off.
Like
all of his other adult children are getting married.
No,
his second son needs a wife. He flies to Indonesia, finds a random woman that he thinks his son may or may not like, brings her back to Taiwan, has her marry his second son. The two get married. She does end up having a child with the second son, Sam, a daughter, and the whole marriage starts falling apart. I mean, it's doomed from the start. The two have no romantic or emotional interest in each other. They're just strangers who got married. The woman from Indonesia was at least promised a life with a bit more financial security, which is great, right? But like at what cost? She would later say living in Taiwan as an Indonesian woman was very isolating. It's hard for her to make friends. She doesn't have people she can relate to, and honestly, she hates her father-in-law. Grandpa Lai sucks. At first, she thought he was the world's biggest micromanager, which is already bad. Anytime she would be alone in the kitchen or in the restroom, she would notice out of the corner of her eye, he's snooping on her. He's literally peeping on her. And she thought, okay, he's making sure I'm doing everything to standard the way he likes it.
Matching.
But eventually it evolves away from micromanaging, and it feels
in the restroom
more like harassment. Even when he's caught, they would make eye contact, and this man would not stop. It drove her insane. She would eventually divorce Samuel, her husband.
Yeah, I bet.
She feels no affection towards him or anybody else. She leaves her daughter with the Lais and flees back to Indonesia. 3 years later, Grandpa Lai brings a new woman into the house to marry his son, Chen from China. She also knows very little about her new future husband, but she marries him anyway for her own reasons. Initially, everyone in the family thought, this is good. Finally, the family is coming back together. Everything feels a lot more settled in our hearts now. She's a good addition to the family. She gives birth to a son, Lai. Grandpa Lai and little Lai are 2 peas in a pod. Everybody's happy. Everybody is content, except for Grandma Lai. She's looking at Lai. She's looking at Chen. She's looking at her second son. She's looking at her husband. This is not right. About a year before Chen gave birth, Grandma Lai started feeling this sneaking suspicion that there was someone evil inside of her home. You ever just feel uneasy around someone? You can't really figure out why, but it feels like the way they carry themselves. They act like they know something that you don't know, is the feeling. But maybe Grandma Lai is thinking way too deep into it, and she's just so traumatized by what happened with her previous daughter-in-law that she's overanalyzing every single person inside this house. Well, one day, Grandma Lai comes back from grocery shopping, and she goes to the back door. She yanks the handle. Nothing. The handle doesn't get, the door's locked. This is very, very strange. Grandma Lai always, for the past decades that she's been living here, leaves this door unlocked when she goes grocery shopping, so that when she comes back, it's easy for her to open.
He's the actual dad.
Her keys with all these groceries around her arm. Never in all the years that she's been living here has the door been locked when she goes grocery shopping. She's about to knock or shout for someone to open the door for her, but she decides against it. Instead, she gently places all the bags onto the ground, goes to check the side window of the house. She stacks 2 chairs on top just so she can try and see. She doesn't end up seeing anything much, but she could hear everything. You can clearly hear the sound of the bed moving in a rhythmic pace and soft moaning. The only people home right now are Chen, her son's new wife, and Grandpa Lai, her husband. But because she didn't record it, she didn't even see it with her own 2 eyes, nobody really believed her, or perhaps she was gaslit into thinking that she imagined it all. And now she's looking at Lai, she's looking at Chen, she's looking at her son, she's looking at her husband, and it is so very clear that Grandpa Lai does not just favor Lai because he's his grandchild, he favors Lai because he is his child.
Slippers. Ooh, socks.
That's his son, not his grandson.
Whoa. So the grandpa is actually the dad.
Yes.
Wow.
It is a horrible day to have ears.
Yeah.
And the grandma knows about this.
Yes. Well, she knew that a year before Chen gave birth, that she heard very suspicious things. She thought she was going crazy, somehow convinces herself to get rid of this thought. And then a year later, Chen gives birth to a baby boy, and she's analyzing the whole situation, and she's like, this is weird.
So this is shared by grandma?
Yeah, this was actually shared by grandma during a court process that we're about to get into, but it's now becoming redone up now that
not the court process.
Been found suspiciously dead.
Okay, so this is not like public information. This is information that grandma finally shared today.
Oh yeah, this is not public information. I mean, they try. It's a little bit public in the fact that I'm sure if you go down, I don't know Taiwan's FOIA process, if they have some sort of process.
Okay, wait, that's cute.
Access to court documents. I don't know if this would be sealed court documents. I don't know the laws over there. But
glasses have got to
place
go.
In court. There was a whole court proceeding at the time, 18 years ago, but not many people knew about it. It was not common knowledge.
So
that's cute.
Like the way grandma is sharing this story, it made it sound like she didn't confront anyone. Say, hey, this is your son, right?
She's about to.
Right.
Yes.
I'm saying when
she's about to.
It wasn't like in the whole family. It wasn't like everyone treated him like he's the son. He was still treated as a grandson.
Perfect. Okay. I was like, we need blue ones.
Once everybody finds out the truth, everything falls apart.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
that's cute. Actually,
once she sees this, she grabs Lai and she's like, I'm gonna be back. I'm bringing my grandson to a dentist appointment. On the way there, she's swabbing his saliva, sends that in along with DNA from Grandpa Lai. She is right. Lai is Grandpa Lai's biological child, not biological grandchild.
This is when, like 18 years ago.
Yes.
When Lai was a baby.
Where's the matching bottoms?
Yes.
Okay.
Grandma Lai wastes no time. She immediately brings her husband to court with this new DNA test in hand. She
brings him to court?
But rather, she's trying to get her husband convicted for adultery. She's like, you're going to jail. This is where the theories slightly diverge. Some say that Chen, the mom, has always been involved with Grandpa Lai. That he had gone to China, met Chen, started an affair with her, and as a way to get her to come live in Taiwan.
Low-key, I believe that.
And not just in the same neighborhood as him. He's just like, let me take it one step further. How can she live with me in the same house with my wife? Marry my son, so that you can get Taiwanese citizenship and we can do nasty things together on the side in the same house, and no one will ever know. Other sources state that just like his son's first wife, Grandpa Lai started making advances towards Chen after she married the second son. But most netizens seem to lean towards the first version.
What do you guys think?
One comment reads, so this whole thing might not be.
I feel like he's in a position of power and he's taking advantage of her, so I feel like it's more of him coming on to her.
By marrying his disabled son so that they can continue the affair? Damn. That's a netizen comment. Either way, ultimately, Grandpa Lai and Chen were fined and sentenced to 3 months in prison for adultery. They do their best to hide this from everyone else to make sure nobody finds out that something so bizarrely incestuous has happened in their home. But you can't really hide it from the rest of the Lai kids. The family is not having a good time digesting this shocking piece of information. I don't even think that this is something you can go online and try to get some mental help with. You would need specialized therapy to deal with a specific level of trauma like this.
True.
Lai's half-siblings that he's been calling aunt and uncle for most of his childhood, they felt really betrayed by Grandpa Lai. They say, we don't even know how we should refer to this boy anymore.
That'd be so weird. How do you even react to that?
They did notice that Grandpa Lai was always doting on Lai, being overprotective, but they thought maybe he's just the star grandchild, the one that always hangs out with Grandpa Lai, so he gets favored. They didn't realize it's because Grandpa knew it's not his grandchild, but his son. Until, this trial, of course. They had always been this very tight family that loved spending time together, but one of the adult children of Grandpa Lai said, after this announcement, their whole family turned into a battlefield. All the adult children had come back to the house to confront their dad about the news.
Do we have a cute hat?
Said, my father refused to come downstairs and wanted us to leave. I told my father that since the child now calls him Grandpa, if he and his daughter-in-law have another child in the future, what would they call him? Before I could finish, my father got
Do we give her an animal? I feel like we give her a cat. I feel like she's a cat lady.
Intervened, which resulted in my father chasing us all out of the house. Eventually, the family reaches an agreement of sorts, if you can call it that.
Yep, they do. Cheating's
Grandpa
illegal.
Lai would stop his adulterous relationship with Chen, and he will transfer property to Grandma Lai. Grandma Lai does try and get Chen to leave her family, but allegedly she states Chen asked for nearly $1 million in order to leave. Grandma Lai decides, if that's how it's gonna be, I'm just gonna leave. Grandma Lai leaves the house, but she never divorces her husband, and this is important later. And from there, the family just starts drifting apart. Grandma Lai never speaks to her husband again unless it's through a representative. Grandpa Lai's relationship with his kids are never the same, and he just chooses to live in that family home with Chen and his new son Lai for the next 18 years.
So it's Grandpa, Chen, and the
A Russian
grandson.
blue.
So technically, Grandpa,
That's what she needs.
daughter-in-law, and son.
Or mom and
No.
dad and son. But does the grandson calls him Grandpa or Dad?
Oh my god,
He
please.
keeps calling him Grandpa because that's what he's used to. But it does seem like he knows that's his dad eventually. I don't think he found out when he was a kid. I don't know how long they shielded him from it, but it's a little unclear. But he does eventually find out, but by that point, it had been long enough of calling him Grandpa that he doesn't stop.
I see.
Now, side note, during this point, Chen's husband, so Grandpa Lai's second son, ends up passing away. He wasn't in great health. He had liver cancer before this whole family found out what was going on. So it seems like he passed away before realizing what his father had done.
Oh my god, stop
From
doing
the
that to
outside,
me.
because he passed away, everyone just assumed it's Grandpa Lai living with his deceased son's wife, the widow, and his grandchild Lai, helping raise him since his son is no longer around. But in reality, like I said, he's living with technically his mistress and their son. He'd also quietly adopted as his own son. This is where the case gets even more strange. There's a Chinese saying which translates to dirty family secrets stay home. Essentially, don't air your dirty laundry outside. The Lai family sticks by this rule. Nobody talks about it outside. The only people outside of the attorneys, the court, the judges that know this dark family secret, I mean, they know that Grandpa and Grandma are no longer together. But that's about it. The only people that know the truth that this is Grandpa Lai's actual biological kid are Junior and his dad, the property managers.
Fat kitten.
Because they're the notaries for Grandpa Lai for the past 20 years. They're also his estate planners.
I also love her
If anyone
videos.
is going to be trusted by Grandpa Lai, it's going to be them. So not only do they know that Lai is Grandpa Lai's biological son, but they also know that Lai is going to be inheriting everything after Grandpa Lai's death. They know that the other grandchildren, his other kids, his wife, they're getting nothing. They are aware of the fact that Lai is going to be worth over $15.5 million the moment that Grandpa Lai dies. And interestingly enough, a week after he dies, Junior and Lai get married. So people have this question of, well, maybe it's love. Maybe throughout
What if
all
I
of
gave
this,
him, like,
they end up
one
falling
little
in
paw?
love. Like, why wouldn't that be a case? Why is it so suspicious? Is that even up for debate? You know? But then why would Lai be dead? Was it some sort of freak accident? Was it self-exit? Is it murder disguised as a self-exit? What's going on? From Junior's perspective of this relationship,
Obviously not a
he
self-exit.
states
That doesn't
the day
even
of
make
their
sense.
marriage,
Why
the
would
day
you
that
kill
Lai
yourself
dies,
after you just
they went
inherit
and
that
got
much money?
Starbucks for breakfast. They
Literally
drove to
makes
the
no
courthouse,
sense.
And it's more like a household registration office. It's nothing fancy or romantic. It looks like a DMV. You register your marriage, just the papers. They did that around 9 in the morning, got legally married, went back to Junior's 10th floor condo, and started watching Demon Slayer, the anime. Then they drank a little bit of beer, and that was it.
Is he gay?
Part of this can actually be verified through CCTV footage from inside the elevator in the building. You can see that the day that Junior and Lai enter the elevator, the first time is around 8:45 a.m., likely after breakfast. Then they go out through the stairs to get married. Then when they come back, it's around 10 a.m., and they're in the elevator going back up to the unit.
But Lai didn't tell anyone.
Okay,
he's
one
getting
little
married
white
that
No.
day.
Yes.
Nobody.
But through the CCTV footage, it doesn't look like he's being held hostage. He's not being kidnapped. He's not being dragged and tied up. It's just the oddest thing. And then they get up at 10 a.m. An hour later, Lai is dead outside the apartment building. If this is all true, then he fell from the balcony? I mean, how does he just fall from the balcony? Was he very drunk? Because his toxicology reports do not indicate that he was heavily intoxicated. So Junior is just explaining the day to the authorities and now to the public, but people are still confused. Sure, you're telling us exactly the steps, but nothing makes sense. And Junior's like, hold on, listen, I'm not done. So around 11 a.m., I decide I'm gonna get into the shower. Junior's like, I'm sweaty. It's been a long morning. It's just been a rough day.
He dies
so he
in the
leaves Lyle
time
alone
span of
living
you
room
getting
with
in the
Demon Slayer
shower.
playing on the TV, goes to the restroom, showers. When he gets out, the living room is empty. Lyle is not there. He's just gone, vanished. There's nothing amiss. There's no signs of a struggle, nothing. He just,
Fluffy.
poof, husband is gone. It's like he never existed.
Been spoiled.
But then he looks on the counter and his phone and his wallet are on the table. So he's like, okay, I'm not hallucinating. Junior explains he starts searching the entire building for his newlywed husband. He checks the whole building. He uses the stairs because the elevator wouldn't be convenient. Then he goes outside around 11:09 a.m. That's when he sees his newlywed husband dead on the ground. The way he describes
and then you
it
act like
makes it
he's
seem
not
Lyle was just very
your
sad about
husband?
his life and probably decided to
That literally
self-exit.
doesn't make any
But
fucking
Lai's mom is
sense,
saying
bro.
none of that makes sense. First of all,
Yeah,
she
it doesn't
had
make any
no clue that he
sense.
was getting married that day. On top of that, the morning that they were getting married and Lai had died, she was so frantic looking for
tell
her son.
us.
She was calling every single person in her contact list asking if they had seen Lai, including Junior. She called Junior, and he acted like he had no clue what she was talking about, stating that he had no idea where Lai could possibly be. In fact, according to Lai's mom, Junior told her, well, there's no point in reporting him missing to the police because he hasn't been missing for 24 hours. But instead, I can help you look for him. She thought it was strange then at the moment, too, because it's like, what's it to you if I report it? But now, even more so, knowing that he was very busy getting married, calling the police, reporting the death of a stranger who happens to be his husband, aka her son.
I have no time.
She also states passionately there was no reason for Lai to want to self-exit. He was getting ready to head into university where he was going to be studying philosophy. He just inherited millions of dollars. He knows he's inherited millions of dollars. Why else would he be reaching out and hanging out with his property manager? Most people feel like if they were Lai, you feel like your life is just getting started at 18. One psychiatrist, who I don't think is personally related to this case at all, but I guess an expert, was interviewed for a news network. Because all of Taiwan is just trying to understand what the hell is going on right now. Everything is so vague. The psychiatrist states, this could be categorized as a flash marriage, which is after meeting someone a few times, you just get married. Out of nowhere, without letting any friends and family know, especially if it's the same-sex marriage. People might feel like,
he
I
gay?
can't tell anyone because I don't want the judgment. So let's just do it and deal with the consequences later, because maybe you have friends who are homophobic, maybe your family won't accept. There's all these reasons. But flash marriages are quite passionate, impulsive, emotional. I mean, think about you're getting married in Vegas. Let's go to Vegas.
Yeah.
But these two, they don't have that level of enthusiasm at all. So why would they be getting married? Even if it is passionate, misguided love,
it doesn't seem like it.
Recklessly, and why would Junior not identify himself as the new
spouse? That's the weird. Doesn't seem. That's the weird part is he doesn't seem like a spouse.
Goes on to kind of armchair diagnose the situation. She states she believes that Lai was going through a lot. She points out that between the ages of 12 and 18, because of the fact that he was Grandpa's biological son, he's not having a normal, stable family life. On top of that, from a psychological standpoint, this is the puberty stage. Individuals tend to be a bit more rebellious, and his family life is very complicated. She suspects that Lai might be going through complex emotions and could have experienced a lack of affection from his family. Not only that, his entire family's assets were now going towards him, so how would the other members of the family look at him? It has been reported that a few days before Lai's death, at Grandpa Lai's funeral, Grandma Lai
where's the UI?
and the other half-siblings / aunts and uncles were pissed. Because by this point, they know what the inheritance is looking like. Yeah. So it's possible that he wanted to escape this. Then you have Junior of the Shaw family, who has been handling their family inheritance for decades, which could give him a very reliable impression. Maybe Junior is on his side. Maybe Junior knows more than he does about the inheritance and how to handle it, manage it, navigate all of this. She states, so the very few times they meet, perhaps Lai developed a firm reliance or a sense of security towards Junior. The psychiatrist
download the newest version of the UI
that could
extensions.
Explain his emotional feelings, but not really. Like, if he felt that way,
because it's probably
he would have found a way to live with Junior or stay with Junior. Why get married out of nowhere? It's just so random. It's not like he was spending every day with Junior and then he decides, let's just get married. The psychiatrist responds, well, that has to do with the family unit. We have a dependency on families. Once he leaves his family home, he will have no family. But if he marries Junior, he will have a new family and a strong sense of belonging.
But he has his mom.
I think that's a very strange explanation, because to me
he
that
has a
doesn't make
family.
Sense. If I go back to when I was 18,
why wouldn't you just
a greater sense of security?
do that with your friends?
I would find it with my friends. I'm not gonna find it in this strange
random old man who owns my dad or runs my dad grandpa's
with all this money, he would just go recklessly
money.
Marry
That's
his high
so
school sweetheart.
weird.
Right.
Then this is very strange. Additionally, people start coming out of the woodworks to explain, well, first of all, Lai's not gay. Which normally I would not take these types of testimonials to heart, because there could be a lot of reasons why someone might feel the need to hide their sexuality from others. But just listen, there's a destination they're getting to. First, Lai's mom states, I mean, he's just not gay. Like, I
he's just not gay.
Say to you. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of parents who can't make sense of a completely normal relationship, but truly, he's not gay. Lai's teachers have come out to say that, well, recently, I don't know if we can say that he's not gay, but recently, we do know that he had a crush on a female classmate of his. The two had what appeared to be mutual feelings for each other, or at least that's what Lai thought. They would work together, they would do homework together, they'd talk together, they would write these little love letters together, but recently, she left.
Okay.
She was like, I'm actually not trying to date you. Lai was so heartbroken, he had to get counseling at the school to get over this rejection.
This better fucking work.
So they're saying, again, we're not saying he's not gay.
Trying again.
It's just, if there was no indication that he's gay, in fact, there were so many indications that he was very hung up on this female classmate.
Lol.
Again, that's not to say that he can't be bisexual or anything. It's just on top of everything going on, all of this seems really strange and really random. The teacher also alleged that, well, Lai's not actually one to enjoy physical contact with other guys. Again,
that's a decent pickup line, Brandon.
I'm just letting you know what people have been saying that are involved in the case. The teacher argues everyone has different boundaries when it comes to physical touch, but Lai is not particularly fond of physical touch from guys. Even when they were just being playful and roughhousing, he didn't enjoy it, not even in the slightest. He just seemed kind of uncomfortable by it all. Again, that has nothing to do with sexuality, but the teacher is arguing, truly, nothing indicates that he would randomly get married to a man. It's just, there was nothing. There was no hint. There was no writing. There was nothing. Again, I don't know how much water that holds, but one thing investigators did note is the day of Lai's death, he
there we go.
for the very first time
now it's
about
working.
the effectiveness of same-sex marriage. It's
The
not even a Reddit post of
effectiveness?
like, I'm gay, I want to get married, my parents don't approve, Reddit. It's literally the effectiveness of same-sex
Also, we're gonna cheat and give her more money.
Effectiveness. What exactly does that mean? Like,
so same-sex marriage was legalized in 2019 in Taiwan. So I wonder if it was new information. I know it's been like 4 years in 2023.
All
which is when
right,
it passes,
cute.
but it sounds like he's trying to Google, is it the same legally as a heterosexual marriage?
That's
Because the
I
word
wonder-
effectiveness
weird
is so
wording.
important.
yeah, I also wonder, like, at what time?
Earlier that morning, before they got married.
See, that's not something.
That's so weird. That's not something you look up the
Google,
day
like, right
of.
before you get married.
Yeah.
That's something that you thought about. You get married because you want to get married. Like, you think about that for a while.
Yeah,
Right?
that's so weird.
That is so weird.
And when you're 18, and I think even when you're not
I'm
18,
just throwing
even
some
when you're
lights up in
older,
this bitch.
if you are nervous about marrying someone of the same
let's
gender as you because maybe your parents or your mom or someone won't accept it,
The hell?
I think that's a very bizarre way of Googling it. Like, you would Google how to tell your parents.
Oh.
Or what happens if I get married and my parents don't
okay.
approve. Or can my parents try to annul my gay marriage? Like, these are more specific questions that indicate, oh, somebody feels this way about another partner and wants to get married, but they have these types of obstacles. The effectiveness of same-sex marriage is a very,
It's giving more about the legality of.
yes, than emotional.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I genuinely believed you need a
There
lot
are,
of
but
money
usually they
to be
marry
able to
women.
save. I didn't think it was possible to invest with just a few extra dollars. On top of that, I didn't know where to start with investing. It felt like a club you had to pay to get in, and I just didn't have the money for that when I was much younger. But investing isn't like that at all. You don't need a lot of money, and you don't need to feel very intimidated, because Acorns can
Queen.
help you with all of that. Today's episode
Okay,
is
let's
sponsored by
start.
Acorns. Acorns makes it easy to start automatically saving and investing for you, your kids, and your retirement. You don't need a lot of money or expertise to invest with Acorns. In fact, you can get started with just your spare change. Acorns recommends an expert-built portfolio that fits you and your money goals, then automatically invest your money for you. And now Acorns is putting their money
that's
into
gonna be
your
the
future.
bathroom.
Open an Acorns Later IRA and get up to a 3% match on new contributions. That's extra money for your retirement. Acorns takes the difficulty out of investing for me. It takes the spare change of every transaction and puts it towards investing. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about researching specific stocks, if my portfolio is well diverse or not, because Acorns does that all for me. Head to acorns.com/rotten or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. Paid client testimonial. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/rotten.
Actually, I don't want you on that side.
Now, you know the Reddit or Instagram page that's like siblings or dating? How do you think people can tell when two people are siblings versus when they're dating? Like, what do you think is the key difference? Okay. Some self-proclaimed experts of siblings or dating, they say that it's all in the body language. I mean, obviously, if they're making out, they're dating. But when it's not so obvious, there are still these small, minor body language indicators that subconsciously people take in. For example, couples tend to consciously mimic each other. They mimic each other's facial expressions and gestures. That's why people say that couples who date for a long time, they start looking like each other. It's not because their facial features look like each other. It's because their faces are making the same faces constantly. So those muscle memory sets in. So for most people, they just look similar. While siblings, they tend to have more similar facial features, but not facial expressions. So they have similar eye colors, hair textures. Couples actually have more similar facial expressions, so they have like same smile lines. They have more similar ways that their face sits, but it's not the features themselves. It's just from mimicking each other for prolonged periods of time.
That makes so much sense. Like, that's why I tell you, like, every time I text an emoji, like, I will unconsciously make that face when I'm typing.
Yes, he'll like smirk. If he's doing a smirking emoji, he'll smile. If he's typing in a smiling emoji. So it's very interesting. That's how couples behave. Now, obviously, these are not foolproof methods, but you can kind of tell. You can make a good, educated guess most of the time on whether or not someone appears to be a couple on the street. Junior and Lai do not look like a couple. In the elevator footage. Now, keep in mind, this is right before and right after they get married. You're expecting
the elevator.
nervous laughter, giddiness, like they can't keep away from each other, or maybe if they haven't told anyone, they're just nervous and they're comforting each other. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through it together. There is none of that. First of all, they barely talk in the elevator. There is zero physical contact.
Zero chemistry.
And nothing about their body language shows any semblance of familiarity. Not even affection.
Did you see the footage?
Yeah, there's like screenshots of it, and there's little footage, and there's nothing.
Like, what were they doing?
So they're just kind of facing each other. Junior's on his phone for most of the elevator footage, and Lai's kind of scratching the back of his head. He looks a little uncomfortable. This is how I look when I'm hanging out with my uncle that I'm not close with. So I have some uncles that I'm very familiar with, and then the ones that I'm kind of like...
Okay.
I just know that we're related. It's like that. It reminds me of when you get stuck in the elevator with a coworker that works in a completely different department than you. You know them, but you don't really know them well enough to talk to them. Like, the most interaction you've had is like you just nod at them, or you give them like a thin lip smile when they pass by your desk, and that's it. And now you guys are stuck in the elevator, just you two, so you know each other more than strangers. So it feels weird being like, nice weather. That's weird. You guys are closer than that, but you don't know each other well enough to be like, how's it going? So it's like this.
Yeah, that's awkward.
You just make these noises, and it's just awkward. It's empty. It's polite. And I know that this doesn't sound like the best evidence, but there are a lot of people who have figured out that their partners are cheating on them with another friend because of such subtle body language cues. So this is another thing that netizens have been pointing out, such as when one person leans over to press the button on the elevator. Most people, if you're not familiar with them, you lean back so that you give them space. But if someone doesn't lean back, it's almost, there's a subconscious familiarity with their body.
Yes.
There is no familiarity in this elevator.
You're saying one of them, like...
Well,
yeah, like they're just very polite, like moving out of the way for each other. Just,
that's so weird.
It's very bizarre.
Wow.
Obviously, not a surefire rule, but I'm just saying, nobody can see them in the elevator and think, wow, lovebirds. It just doesn't make sense. But if you're still not convinced, there's more. There's CCTV footage of the two of them on a motorbike, like a mini motorcycle, and they're trying to cross the street, so they're mid-driving. This is on their way to the marriage license place. Junior is driving, Lai is in the back. He's not even holding on to Junior. In fact, the positioning seems dangerous. He's holding onto the seat for support, instead of leaning or grabbing onto his future husband that he's about to marry in 10 minutes.
That's so weird.
Now, according to CCTV footage from the marriage license registration office, you can also tell that this is not a symbolic emotional moment for the two of them. They look like strangers waiting at the DMV together. The entire process takes about an hour. Lai is seen occasionally scratching his head. There's some light conversations, but no giggling, no smiling, no friendliness that would indicate even friendship. At one point, Junior gives Lai a light pat on the shoulder, but that is it. It's said that even that pat feels very cold, like they're not very familiar with each other, like, it's okay. But is that really evidence? Just to make even more sure, authorities go through their messaging apps. The two of them have little to no interactions on any of their messaging apps for the past 6 months. When they do briefly exchange messages, they are always about property transfers. There's no romantic
I'm trying to find a window that fits.
Friendly messages.
It's crazy. So everything
Fills
happened.
up the.
You're saying it's like everything happened that morning.
Come on,
There's
I need
some
a
kind of
window that fits the
conversation
area.
that prompt them to get married.
Yes.
And what happened? Like, that's crazy.
Now, beyond that, it gets even wilder. In order to get married, you need to have 2 witnesses sign your marriage certificate. Typically, this should be family or friends, but because nobody knew that Junior and Lai were getting married, they had to get 2 random witnesses from the street. One person they found inside of a mall, and the other one they found outside the marriage license, and they just said, hey, listen, we are getting married, we're in
It's
love,
so fucking weird.
and our friends and family do not approve of our same-sex relationship. So please, could you
I
sign
don't think
this
they
as a
know
witness?
about it, actually.
Both of the witnesses would later tell the judge, we agreed because we support same-sex marriage and we felt really bad. So
Damn
we
it,
wanted
that
to help
almost fits
because their
perfectly.
friends and family don't support
Need a
them.
shorter one.
So we went and we signed, but as we're signing, we realized
This
how
short- no,
strange this whole
it's not the same.
situation was. They didn't seem like a couple at all. I mean, we were actually shocked at how they were
This?
behaving,
Oh,
considering
yes,
how
perfect. Oh my God.
unaffectionate they were, how underdressed both of them are. So, for example, when
There
people
we
get
go.
married, especially for the first time,
Holy
even
shit.
going to the courthouse
Found
is
one.
this like giddy experience. And then if you're doing it because your love is so strong that it goes against your whole family, it's an even more emotionally impactful moment.
Grr.
It's us against the world, but both of them are just wearing slippers. Like, it's not a special day for them. One of the witnesses later said, congrats! And neither of them responded. But this is stranger. The authorities find another 3rd witness who comes forward.
Alright, fine, let's
She's
leave it
the
like that.
custodian of the marriage license building. She says, they also asked me to sign. I refused. It was weird. She states the whole energy was off. She didn't feel right about it. Junior kept asking her to sign, repeatedly trying to persuade her, even offering her like $100. Meanwhile, Lai is just
That's
standing
so
off
weird.
to the side silently watching. She said, even if they gave me
So
$1 million, it wouldn't
suspicious.
make me sign as a witness. I was worried, and I felt guilty if something were to happen.
Good.
Now, additionally,
But
Junior
that's so
doesn't even
weird.
show up to Lai's funeral. So how can you say that this is a passionate,
He doesn't even
rushed
show up to
marriage
the
between two
funeral?
parties in this maybe emotionally fragile
What?
state that Lai just lost his
That's
grandfather
fucking weird.
and he wants to marry the love of his life, or who he thinks is the love of his life? It's clearly not that. It's very clear that is not what happened. In the CCTV footage, like I said, neither of them seem excited, but also, Lai doesn't look like he's being forced. At least not physically. Also, Junior has a girlfriend. So,
You're kidding me.
yeah, so why would he marry Lai? Yes.
Girlfriend, speak up.
No. People found out that he has a girlfriend, and they have not even confirmed nothing. So why would they get married? It just doesn't make sense. And why would he end up dead 2 hours later? Lai's mom takes
You're really
immediate
bad at
action.
faking a
She
marriage.
sues Junior and his dad in a wrongful death suit.
Well,
She
why would he
states
get
the
married
marriage
to him?
completely thrown out. She states that it's very clear the motive for the marriage and his death immediately after is for the inheritance. She requests assistance from the courts to make sure Junior is not allowed to leave the country. She's hired her own forensic experts, including Gao, the original forensic pathologist we were talking about earlier in this story. She's trying to figure out what the hell happened to her son. I mean, she just believes there's no way. This feels like murder to her. Authorities have also started their own
I agree. It feels like murder to me as well.
And after interrogating Junior, they hold this press conference where they state there was no foul play involved in Lai's death, no suspicion of criminal activity, and no necessity for an arrest. Junior would be a free man.
Yeah, okay.
He's free to go.
What do they think happened?
They think that he self-exited.
What?
According to prosecutors, it seems like Junior's supposed version of events is this. Allegedly, Lai confided in Junior that he's worried that his grandma and his half-siblings, aka his uncle and aunts, would try to go after and make a scene at Grandpa Lai's urn-bearing ceremony. He wanted to get married as an extra layer of added protection. So Junior is saying Lai wanted
literally
to marry
makes
me.
no sense.
He's saying, hey, I have all this inheritance in just my name. I'm scared they're going to try to come after me. I don't know what to do, but you're the property manager. You know exactly what you're doing in this realm of law. So why don't we get married so that you can help protect these assets even more for me?
Absolutely not.
That's what Junior's allegedly claiming. Now, surely Junior's going to get something out of it too, but we wouldn't know. Maybe he's getting a commission. Maybe he's getting a cut. Maybe he's getting a property. I don't know. But
I feel like there's better ways to protect your asset than like.
Yeah, a lot better
someone.
ways.
That feels like more risky. Don't you
Why?
think?
And also,
What is this shadow? I need that shadow to go
I
away.
feel like I would marry a friend. I'd be like, hey friend, I need help. Because at least you feel like you know your friends. I mean, sure, they could screw you over, but so could the 27-year-old, but at least your friends are your friends.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying it doesn't align with how an 18-year-old or anyone would even think. Now, Lai's mom, Chen, also held a press conference where she's completely covered up from head to toe to protect her identity. Full bucket hat, sunglasses, face mask down to her neck. Not a single part of her body is showing. And she says, I can't accept the truth. I raised him till he was 18 years old. As a mother, I can't accept this. My son would have never jumped off. My son would absolutely do no such thing. Justice must be served for my son. She argued her son was about to go to college. He just became a millionaire. He even received a new
Yeah, he wouldn't kill himself. He literally just become a...
He requested the
He just became a millionaire. Like...
to read May 13th, his mom's birthday.
It doesn't make sense.
He promised to take his mom on trips on his motorbike, but he just decides to self-exit?
Yeah,
Lai's mom is stating it just doesn't make sense. Junior was one that was insistent on seeing Lai that day. She said he kept saying, you gotta come, we gotta talk about it, but Lai had to go to the service for his grandfather. Why would this be so urgent? If Lai was the one that wanted to do this, why was Junior pushing so hard to see my son that day? Enough to the point that he comes to pick him up at 7 in the morning? Lai's mom and her representatives have stated that the motive is crystal clear and that if anybody understands the laws of inheriting property and assets, it's going to be Junior and his dad. She proposes, if it is true that Junior and Lai married out of love or by Lai's request, and Junior's not getting the inheritance, then Junior should volunteer to undergo a lie detector test and voluntarily waive his claim to the inheritance as proof of love and as proof of he was just doing Lai a favor. He has no motive to murder Lai. Junior has since then rejected all suggestions. His father, Shah Sr., has spoken out and said, thank you for your concern. We are fully cooperating with the prosecutor to clarify the facts and issues. As for the external speculations, whether or not they are correct, we are unable to respond at this time, since the matter is now under judicial investigation. Thank you. The public and media have criticized this statement, saying that he has essentially said nothing. But beyond pure skepticism of, yeah, this is weird, it doesn't make sense, there's a lot of other reasons that netizens are untrusting of Junior. They believe the forensic evidence does not make sense. So I'm just going to tell you both sides that are circulating out there. And I'm no forensic expert, so please let me know your thoughts in the comments. According to the police, when authorities first arrived at the scene, Lai only had a minor closed fracture on his right arm, so they thought. Which, to give you an idea of the extent of that kind of injury, people will have minor closed arm fractures. If they are standing, they fall and they use their outstretched hand to break their fall. And if they fall at a wrong angle, they might break their arm, but that's the level. We're not talking 10 stories.
So, okay, I see. So it's like a minor fracture.
Yes, a minor closed fracture of the arm is just
the math is not mathing.
Many people will say, with a fall from the 10th floor, which would likely result in much more severe injuries. The second thing is, the forensic expert hired by the family to analyze the scene, Gao, he states not only, but his body is too close to the building. He was found on the ground 6.5 feet from the building wall, but the second floor has this protruding platform. Gao believes that Lai should be at least 13 feet away from the building, about double the distance he's actually found from the building, if his calculations of projectile motion are accurate, which I don't know how accurate any of this is, and if it can be used as a strong point, but it's just weird. Gao also mentions the absence of panda eyes on Lai's face. So panda eyes are when you have blood
I was about to say, what the fuck are panda eyes?
Blood vessels around the eyes, and it looks, in America you call them raccoon eyes. And it's from bleeding in the skull, which would lead to this, or just periorbital bruising is what it's known as, and it's commonly caused by basal skull fractures, which is when there's a break in one or more of the bones at the base of the skull. Now, Gao argues it's pretty standard from falls of this height, especially if it's result of a fatal fall. And basal skull fractures are one of the most common causes of these panda eyes. Because now there's bleeding in the skull, which is then it pools the blood near the soft tissues around the eyes, causing those. Now, this part, I will say, doesn't make the most sense to a lot of netizens who are in the medical field. So if you look it up,
I'm trying to find something glass to use as like a fake window.
By this point, Lai has been deceased.
I might have to pull the debug menu.
That a deceased person will form panda eyes post-mortem.
No, that's a ladder.
Bruises occur when blood escapes from damaged blood vessels into surrounding tissues, and that requires blood circulation. Your blood must be pumping for bruises to form, which stops after death. Now, others have argued that it's still possible for him to have formed these panda eyes around his face before his death. Another key argument here is there doesn't seem to be extensive blunt force trauma directly to Lai's head. So Gao and a lot of people wonder, then how is it possible that he suffered from such blows to the head that it killed him, but you don't see extreme skull fractures or blunt force trauma to the head? Gao also brings up the point that there was not a lot of blood on the ground where Lai had fallen.
Why are you a different color?
He believes that it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, considering how far he fell. But even stranger, Gao argues, is the fact that not only was there a strange lack of blood, but the grass beneath Lai's face had died. The rest of the grass where his body has landed, the grass is fine.
That's
to Gao,
weird.
that indicates, or rather suggests, that perhaps Lai had been poisoned prior to his fall, or being placed there. Perhaps some of that poison had slipped out of his mouth, maybe he had vomited, causing the grass to die. He says he was laying on that grass for less than 10 minutes before being found, but after his body was moved, the patch of grass wilted. You know that grass is very strong, don't you? How could it wilt?
The fuck?
He was on the grass for less than 10 minutes.
But if there's throw up, wouldn't you be able to identify that very easily?
But he's saying the police didn't care.
Oh.
So they just picked him up, took him to the hospital, didn't really investigate the scene. So we wouldn't know if there was throw up or not, really. He also points out the fact that other grass where the rest of Lai's body had fallen, all perfectly healthy after they removed his body. Only the part near his head was wilted. He also argues that there should be some slight indentation markings around the ground where Lai fell, because the impact of him hitting the ground should have made some sort of marking on the soil, but there was none. So of course, I mean, that could heavily depend on soil type, grass thickness, moisture content, on whether or not there should be indents caused by Lai's supposed fall. But he also claims that he found suspicious needle markings in Lai's right arm.
Wait, so he's arguing that Lai didn't jump out the window?
He's arguing that Lai was probably
pushed,
killed before his body was either thrown out the window or placed on the ground to make it look like he jumped.
But if he was thrown out the window, there will still be, fractures and...
He thinks that he was thrown out a lower floor window.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, so the theories are not... I would say in this case, no theory is clean cut. Every theory takes a little bit of mental cartwheels to be like, I guess I could see that. I guess I could see that, but nothing is like, oh, that sounds really plausible. It's just very strange. So ultimately, Gao's speculation is mainly due to the presence of what he believes are suspicious needle marks on Lai's right hand, that Lai might have been killed beforehand with some sort of poison. He also points to bruising on Lai's right hand. He thinks the bruise might have been caused prior to his death, which maybe he was trying to fight back. Maybe it's a defensive wound. Then he's thrown not from the 10th floor, but possibly the 3rd floor of the building. Like, why? Why would someone take him to a lower floor if he's already deceased? Gao suggests that if someone threw him from a higher floor, he would have sustained way more serious injuries. The more serious injuries are, the more seriously police take a case. That's what he argues. But if someone has minor injuries, they're deceased, there's a clear, quote, reasonable explanation to what happened to them, then it's not murder, they can quickly close the case.
Alright.
Is what he's arguing. So it's likely that he was thrown from a lower floor to quickly close the case and move on. That is what Gao is arguing.
Huh.
Yeah, I will say the forensic evidence on this case is not as strong as the logical evidence of it just doesn't make sense that he got married and then 2
I
hours
agree with
later
that.
he died. The forensic evidence is kind of like,
I wish I could replace this fucking
sides.
door.
Yeah, and clearly Junior is suspicious. Like, the way he's acting afterwards.
Yeah, he's up to some shit,
so
for
why
sure.
not just interrogate that guy rather than, you know, like, I don't know what's going on.
It's just, yeah, it's a little weird. Yao also does point out there are inconsistencies in Junior's behavior. He argues it's not normal. No matter how you try to spin it, it's weird. So first of all, he acted to authorities as if he did not know Lai. He's just standing there off to the side watching. Yao argues
that's so
this man was
weird.
the man he had just married, but he pretended not to know him. He didn't say anything. Then later, when Lai is taken to the hospital and labeled a John Doe, he still does not come forward to identify the body. And if you know anything about Taiwan, in a lot of different cultures, even in America, there is this symbolicness of putting someone to rest. Like, you don't just leave someone unidentified in the morgue. It's so traumatic for loved ones.
Yeah. So, okay, he doesn't want to identify it because he doesn't want to be associated by this.
Yes.
Right? Like, they will very quickly find out, boom, you guys got married. So he want to hide that.
Mm-hmm.
As long as possible.
Yes.
Why would you want to hide something unless there's something suspicious?
But then some of the other people, like, because there's so many theories floating around, but some people say even that is weird because he's hiding it now, but he can't hide it when he tries to get the inheritance.
Right.
I think he maybe just want the body to be
cremated? Yeah.
Or something.
That makes sense.
Think, yeah. It's
Umbilical closet.
Also, later on, Junior mentions to the prosecutors that he saw footprints on the balcony railing, which suggests that Lai fell from the balcony or jumped. But at the same time, remember how he mentioned he went searching floor to floor of the apartment building looking for Lai? But if you saw footprints enough to notice them,
yeah, then you wouldn't go looking.
Wait, the balcony door is open. He's missing. I saw footprints on the balcony. Why would you not think to go to the ground floor first? Why would you go floor to floor searching when that feels
it literally makes no
plausible?
sense.
Like, if you didn't notice, that's one thing. But if you notice, and you're still like, let me go to the 9th floor, 8th floor, 7th floor. One netizen writes, Junior is definitely sus, but also, why did he make it so obvious? Dead after just 2 hours of registering the marriage?
It is really obvious.
Others argue, well, maybe it's not done, because technically if he did it, he might get away with it. They said he's the only one that was there. There's no security footage, at least as of right now, that they've seen, which means there's nobody to verify or dispute his version of events. Gao has urged the prosecutors to run toxicology reports on Lai to look for the presence of any sort of toxins that might have been administered prior to his death. His best bet, Gao says, is potassium chloride, a chemical compound that's most commonly used in fertilizers. In large doses, it can lead to excess potassium in the blood, causing cardiac arrest, especially when administered intravenously, so through like a needle, in high concentrations. Gao starts arguing that his new belief is that Lai might have been lured to a certain location in the building, where he is restrained from behind because he believes there are ligature marks around Lai's neck. So that would explain those markings. Then they're trying to restrain him. He receives injuries to his neck and his hand, the bruising on his right hand. Once he's rendered unconscious, he is pumped full of potassium chloride, explaining the needle markings, causing cardiac arrest and eventual death. Then he's thrown from the 3rd floor of the building. So 3rd floor is oddly specific.
That is oddly specific.
Well, Junior allegedly wouldn't want all of this in his apartment. The needle, maybe there's blood, maybe there could be anything. You just never know. He's actually the real estate broker for an empty 3rd floor unit in that same building.
Right.
So he has full access of a 3rd floor unit that nobody lives in right now. That's open for showings. That seems to be Gao's biggest theory, but the investigators did search the 3rd floor and they found no evidence of any sort of wrongdoing in that unit. Additionally, 3rd floor residents shared their CCTV footage, so their doorbell cameras, if you will, and nobody left or entered the 3rd floor unit that day. Since then, prosecutors have come out to state that the investigation teams have obtained CCTV footage from around the fall. I don't think that they have the fall itself, but from public roads, residential areas, convenience stores that might have a better timeline of things. And that footage is currently being investigated. They state they ran thorough and complete fingerprint, footprint, DNAs on the 10th floor balcony, and they found evidence that Lai must have been physically present on the 10th floor balcony. They state not just on the 10th floor, but you know how there's a railing and there's this tiny, maybe 2-inch ledge outside of the railing.
Yeah.
So a little bit of the floor extends. Like the floor of the balcony does not just cut off where the railing cuts off. So it extends maybe about 2 inches. It's not space that nobody would ever go onto because you're just going to fall.
Yeah.
But there's this Lai's DNA on that side.
That's weird.
So he was outside of the wood railing.
So the prosecutors allege, I mean, why would he be outside unless he wanted to be outside? It's really hard to forcibly get someone to that point. Unless maybe you're talking gunpoint. Like, how would you convince someone to get on that side of the railing? Because they would fight with everything. They would run down the stairs. They would do other things. Are you holding them at gunpoint? Like, that's what they're arguing. Now, this is their argument. By the way, I'm not here to convince you of one thing or the other. They also argue that there's actually a bit more of the forensic evidence. They state that Lai actually had multiple fractures. Not just one on his arm, but he had multiple rib fractures. They were, according to his autopsy reports, his lungs, heart, spleen, and liver were fractured. Multiple organs had ruptured, and there was bleeding in the chest and abdominal cavities, as well as extensive internal bleeding. The autopsy the prosecutors have recently released shows that Lai suffered from intracranial hemorrhaging or internal bleeding in the skull, which would not commonly cause panda eyes to even begin with. They also state that the forensic reports from the prosecutor's office show that the injuries are incredibly consistent from a fall from that height. He might look okay externally. So they state that many of Lai's injuries that Gao finds suspicious are easily explainable. The injuries on the roof of his mouth and his upper lip, so Gao was like harping on this. They state he had a tube inserted into his mouth in the hospital in an effort to save his life. So of course you're gonna get some sort of markings in the mouth. It's not a pleasant procedure. Likewise, the suspicious needle markings on his right hand, those are from the hospital when they try to administer fluids and IV. The strange markings on his back, Gao was constantly bringing this up. They argue, well, there were trees that he likely would have collided with before hitting the ground. Those markings look consistent with branches.
I guess.
And as for their lack of indentation in the ground, it is their belief that he hit the second floor platform, because there's like a ledge sticking out of the second floor. He hit that.
But he still could have been like pushed.
Hit the platform, his body bounced
if that was
onto
the case,
right
I feel
next
like.
to it, and then fell through the branches, which would explain some of these scratch markings and why there's not a strong indentation, because something cushioned his fall twice. Now, it has been argued that they never actually tested that. They never found evidence that he hit the second floor platform. They just said, that's what makes sense to us.
That would be so easy to test,
so it does seem like both sides are just like, this is what makes sense to us.
So Gao is the mother's attorney.
Yes.
He's arguing that the son has been poisoned and then thrown out of third floor.
Yes.
And the prosecutor?
Okay, my argument is he was thrown out the top floor.
No, everything indicated that he jumped out from 10th floor.
Yes. I'll just tell you the outcomes of what could happen. If they get married, and then Lai decides to self-exit, then Junior would be entitled to the full inheritance as his spouse, even if they've been married for 2 hours.
That's weird.
Now, if it's proven that Lai did not self-exit, that someone else was the cause of his fall, then Junior could get the whole inheritance taken away, because this is motive. You married him for the money, and then you killed him.
And then you gotta go to prison. Yeah.
These are the outcomes of both sides. So the prosecutors arguing
So
the day
weird.
of the death, they investigated Junior's apartment. There was no signs of a struggle or any foul play. Everything was in order. Furthermore, they claimed to have done a full investigation into Junior's body. There were no signs of scratches or struggle on Junior. Nothing. They checked DNA from underneath both parties' fingernails. No DNA. So those scratches on Lai's body would not have been from Junior, is what they argued. They state it's likely from tree branches. They state it is in their professional belief that there was no physical altercation between the two that day. The supposed strangulation marks, the authorities argued there were no fractures, bleeding, or bruising on Lai's neck. The esophagus shows no abnormalities. Everything is in order. They argue the only thing that could have maybe caused the injuries to his neck was that he wore a neck brace while they were trying to save his life.
I don't think, I mean, like, yes, but no.
Quite aggressive.
I don't think that
so there are
explains
a lot of injuries that
it.
happen when someone's life is trying to be saved.
Right. Like when they're trying to do CPR.
I don't feel like that explains
you can break a rib,
it, though.
like it's really intense, yeah. So they're saying it's the neck brace, it's the tube that was shoved down his throat, it was the IVs that they're just rushing and stabbing into his arm to try and save him. Like, these are what these injuries are from, which then should sound like a shut and done case, right? Like, why are we talking about it? But there's more. They say they ran blood tests. There's no substances detected to the point of poisoning or any kind. They stated that they tested for thousands of common toxic substances. Nothing. No potassium
Doesn't make
chloride
any
overdose.
sense.
But Gao had argued that potassium chloride could be difficult to detect through post-mortem blood tests alone. So as for the lack of blood, the prosecutors argue it's just science.
It's just science.
A fall from that
Girl,
height,
no.
there might not be external bleeding. Internal bleeding is actually quite common. External bleeding can vary depending on factors like how the person lands, the surface they land on. It's possible for there to be little to no visible external bleeding, even in fatal falls. The skin
sure,
remain
but
surprisingly intact, while the bones and internal organs suffered catastrophic damage. The fact that the grass is dead where he fell, well, investigators state that they spoke with neighbors who confirm that patch of grass has always been dead. Maybe the dogs pee on it a lot. They also tested the grass and it showed that there were no pesticides or any type of harmful chemicals in the grass. Ultimately, they believe all signs point to a self-exit by jumping. They also made a pointed comment directed at Gao stating that individuals should avoid subjective speculation and assumptions about the circumstances in order to allow the judicial process to proceed impartially.
Ironic.
To which Gao has responded, I had no intention to interrupt the prosecutor's direction of investigation. But now, shouldn't authorities be focusing on finding new evidence? Side note, Gao is one of the top forensic pathologists in Taiwan. He's performed over 5,000 autopsies and conducted over 10,000 forensic examinations. He's also known to be quite outspoken, and sometimes he lands in controversies.
You don't
He's also
say.
said, I'm not that great, but I'm the best in Taiwan. I'm the top forensic pathologist in Taiwan.
Get their ass.
Why are we still talking about it? The prosecutors have debunked most of Gao's claims, right? Not that easy. Because it's been stated that the legal team Lai's mom has hired. They went through the hospital reports, as well as pictures taken in the ER of Lai. There is nothing in the back of his right hand.
Ooh.
So there's tubes and IVs attached to his left hand, nothing in the right hand.
Interesting.
Which later becomes another argument when prosecutors release footage from the ER where it shows the nurse and doctor moving to the right hand to administer more fluids and
very
injections.
interesting.
Which means, yes, there should be needle markings on his right hand. But then, Lai's lawyers have fought back again and stated, when you look at the injuries on the right hand and left hand, they don't have the same injuries. So why would it be so different if it's the hospital doing the same thing on both sides?
I don't even know.
Yeah. Gao has since requested a second autopsy to be done, which would hopefully reveal further information and clarify a lot of questions. He's also stated,
that's crazy.
Based on the principle of speaking through the autopsy and my 40 years of forensic experience, I have made the most rigorous judgments and inferences. This is not a baseless speculation or rumor. However, if there are differing opinions, I welcome constructive feedback and discussion. I do not intend to interfere with the direction of the police investigation, and the evidence speaks for itself. Ultimately, the goal is to find the truth and resolve the matter as quickly as possible, no? So the public is just left very confused after all this back and forth medical arguments between Gao and the prosecutors. I will say when it comes to the forensic evidence, it's very confusing, but the logical evidence
is pretty obvious,
the marriage
though.
is weird. The fact that he died 2 hours after the marriage is very weird. The fact that Junior is the son of Grandpa Lai's primary property manager, also weird. All of this is weird. Now, what really angers the public is the prosecutors give Chen, Lai's mom, and her legal team a cutoff. They say,
they give him a cutoff.
All evidence that this was not a self-exit within the next month. That made people very angry because the whole thing feels rushed. The fact that he was rushed to the morgue without being identified.
So weird.
The fact that Lai's mom has to quickly submit the evidence. It's like they're rushing to hide something or because they're lazy. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Even if justice takes a while, isn't it worth pursuing? Now, I do want to mention,
so weird.
Gao has his own bias. He's been hired by Lai's mom to prove that this was not a self-exit. So all of his is going to be seen from that lens. But the prosecutors also have a bias because the way they handled the case initially is horrendous. It's horrendous. Now, turns out if this case is a murder and that's how they handled it, this would be a huge scandal on them.
Yeah.
Because think about it, they rushed the investigation. They're like, okay, just bring him to the hospital. He's a John Doe. Let's not investigate.
The
Let's
lighting
not
is
tape
so
off the
weird
crime
over here.
scene. Let's do nothing and just move about our day. And then it turns out to be a murder.
Got it. Yep. I see.
Yeah.
Also, people are saying, I don't think that this case would have been big if the victim was not worth $15.5 million.
I mean,
so what does that say for
true.
all the other residents of Taiwan? Because the police didn't know he was a millionaire. They look at him, John Doe, cremate him. That's it. Shut and done.
Crazy. Like,
Would they have behaved differently had they known he was worth $15.5 million? And
Probably.
even the fact that they're like, well, we found nothing in Junior's apartment. We searched the 3rd floor. Junior and his family were freely allowed to roam the entire building for the most of the day until it was analyzed. So again, you can't really say there was nothing because it wasn't taped off. Police didn't even care to figure out if there was foul play until Lai's mom kept calling asking them to do something. So the public lashes out at the prosecutors.
Good.
And they state, it seems like you've
That
been
is
bribed.
ridiculous.
Like,
It seems like you've
money
been
or something,
bribed.
because it doesn't make sense. It feels
Oh
like
my
you're
God.
almost speaking on behalf of Junior. It sounds like it's Lai's mom's legal team and Junior's
I
legal team.
mean, yeah.
They're saying, how can you reject all of the logical evidence?
there's clearly more to the story.
They barely even talk about it. They barely bring up the marriage.
So weird.
They're just like, well, the forensic evidence, this and that. And people are like, well, that's
What's
not
happening?
the only thing we're talking about here. So now there are the theories.
Wait, that's all we have on the case?
That's all we have right now.
That's it?
There is a civil suit that's going on, and I'm
Damn.
going to get into it. But first, I want to tell you the theories, because I want to see which theory that you think is the most plausible. Theory number 1 is that Junior convinces Lai to marry him somehow. Maybe trying to use his knowledge over property laws. Maybe he even scares him, saying things like, you and your mom are about to lose everything. Your family, the aunts and uncles, are going to come at you full force. But if you marry someone, I can help protect it. Because it's not just your signature that's needed to sign everything over. My signature needs, because it's communal property now. It's our married property. So I'm going to help you
Yeah, but
guys.
why wouldn't
This
you
is the
have a
only
friend
way
do that
it's gonna stay
instead?
within you. And this is the only way I make money because, you know, I manage your properties. That's how I make a living.
You see, that's what I was thinking too. Because when he was asked, this is what he said the first thing. He said, the son came to me wanting me to marry him so that he can be protected from the aunts and uncle, which for someone who's 18 barely knows the law,
Oh, yeah.
barely knows about marriage and, you know, like he's Googling about it. I think that's his thoughts, and he just flipped the narrative onto the son, right?
And then he probably brought it up to the son. So then he's like, okay, the 18-year-old is thinking, that makes sense. He Googles the effectiveness of
Yeah.
same-sex marriage because all
Yes.
he's looking is to protect him and his mom.
Yes, and also, let's say if the son
Where is
is the
Jean?
one that proposed this plan to him. He's 26, he's in the legal field, he knows all about the laws. If you are a professional
YouTube,
like,
are you
real
being
estate
weird?
agent, when
Yeah.
is the last time you agreed to marry someone?
Yeah,
For
your
what
chats aren't
reasons?
showing up,
Let's say
Jean.
his narrative is true. He then obviously did it for his own specific reasons.
He's in the
Why
chat.
would you
He's
marry
texting
a
me right
client?
now.
That's crazy to
It's
think
like
about.
an immigration attorney getting into a fake marriage to get someone a green card. It's like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so there's obviously more in it than just to help someone.
So that's the first theory. He convinces him with this type of messaging and then kills him, is the theory, right? The second theory is just the same overall arching theme of the first theory, but with an added
the
benefit.
heck?
Because maybe people are like, well, why would Lai listen to that? Like, it sounds so dumb that Lai wouldn't even listen.
YouTube
Well, Junior also
banned
gains to
him.
benefit. So Junior's dad, the main property manager, also has a ton of properties.
That's so weird.
He has this weird estate rule that
I don't think
first
so.
one
No,
married
like
gets
he's.
to keep the
I'm joking. I'm joking. He didn't
condo.
actually get banned. I don't know what's going on.
Junior's dad
Yeah, this is very bizarre.
Is
said
it
that
floating?
if whoever gets married from my kids get to keep this condo.
not.
Yes.
So Junior said, "Let me marry you."
So that's
Yeah,
his
so
reason
maybe-
to
I
get
don't think
married?
Junior genuinely believes it.
What?
It seems like the theory is Junior is convincing Lai.
Ah,
hey, this is what I get. Because I'm not trying to take your money. I just want this 10th floor condo. And my dad said the first person to get married out of his sons.
That is so weird. He just sent me a screenshot of him texting, or of him typing in chat. Like he's actively typing in chat.
You have a right to the money. But then Junior's like, no, that's not what I want.
So confusing.
I just want this condo.
It's not for
I just
purpose.
need to get married. And look, I have a girlfriend. That's the theory. And then, of course, with this theory, it's also murder, right? Now, there is a self-exit theory, so this would be the third theory. I would say this is the smaller theory.
Doubt. He didn't.
The first spin-off
he did
of
not
the
self-exit.
is that perhaps
Makes no
Lai
sense.
is not fond of his whole family. Because when you're 18, you might have these very emotional responses to all of these things. Like, these are not normal things that happen in a family. And he might feel resentment, not just towards Grandpa Lai, his father, but perhaps his mom and perhaps everybody. So he knows
what are you doing, baby?
He will pass away and self-exit, because it seems like some people are arguing there has been a lot going on in his life. His grandpa passed away. His whole family hates him. He's kind of alone.
His whole family doesn't hate him, though. He has his mom.
Get deported.
Yeah,
That's
but
the whole thing we're gonna get into. There's a whole thing with the mom, okay? Everyone in his family hates him. He just got rejected by his female classmates. Perhaps 18-year-old Lai did want to self-exit, and for whatever reason, he didn't want his mom to have the money. So he marries someone and then self-exits. I don't particularly believe this theory because it's very spiteful, first of all, and there's nothing to indicate that he had a bad relationship with his mother. And second of all, I feel like you would give it to a friend then.
yeah, you'd give it to a friend.
You would not give it to just some random person. Now, the third part of this self-exit theory is that perhaps he wanted to self-exit,
That's so weird.
but he wanted his mom to have the money, and he was maybe scared that if he self-exited, the inheritance is up for debate.
I don't get it.
Does it go to the aunts? Does it go to the grandma Lai? Who has it? So he gives it to the property manager who has been handling the family estate for the past 20 years, and maybe
That doesn't
Junior
make any
has promised,
sense,
I'm gonna give it to your
though.
mom. But this again doesn't make sense
Nuh-uh.
because Junior
It
would
doesn't
have
make
just
any
come out and
sense.
said that when he's in the middle of a murder investigation.
Yeah.
So it just seems unlikely.
And also, why would you do that?
There's just no, I mean, you're 18, you inherit $15.5 million, you get into a good college, why would you self-exit?
Your life is set. Like,
he seems very happy. People said he was
there's
a very
no reason.
happy, lucky person. Again, I know it's not just about people being smiley, but it just doesn't make sense. People are saying it just doesn't make sense.
Like, he had plans.
But if people don't believe that he self-exited and that this isn't some sort of freak accident, then in their theories, it must be murder. But if that's the case, how would Junior have done it? Did he drug him? Did he somehow threaten him to go over the railing? I mean, how did he drug him and it not show up on toxicology reports? How would he threaten him to go over that railing? What would be the answer?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Right now. And it's probably because it's
so
not just
weird.
about figuring out what happened to Lai. There's also a very big question of who gets the $15.5 million. Technically, even though Junior and Lai were only married for 2 hours, if the marriage's validity is not thrown out, then yes, Junior is entitled to inherit $15 million. Technically, legally speaking,
he
given
shouldn't.
their status as newlywed couples, even if it's just 2 hours. So does that mean that Junior will be getting $15.5 million? Not exactly. In Taiwan, the law is that you have to be physically present with 2 witnesses to get married, but additionally, marriage requires true intention to marry.
Well,
That seems like it would be very
can't do
hard
that
to
then.
prove here in this case. But as for maybe the next person that would receive the inheritance, if it's not the spouse, it usually goes to children. Lai doesn't have children, so then it goes back to the parents. So it would just be Chen, the mom. But that's tricky too. So there's a law in Taiwan that reads, quote, the total amount of the estate any of the people of the mainland area China may inherit shall not exceed $65,000. So if you're a Chinese national, you cannot
Taiwan's like,
inherit
fuck you, China.
a Taiwanese person's inheritance
Oh my god, that's...
over $65,000.
Oh, the
Oh my god.
is not Taiwanese.
She's from China. There's a cap, $65,000
That's funny.
out of the $15.5 million. But now her attorneys have come forward to state, actually,
I mean, it makes
it's
sense.
very tricky. So when she first moved to Taiwan to marry Sam, the second son, she voluntarily gave up her household registration in China. But she wasn't able to get a Taiwanese ID card or a Taiwan household registration. So technically, she's stateless. She had Taiwanese residency because Lai, her son, is Taiwanese, but once he turns 18, she doesn't have that anymore.
does that mean?
So she's technically has no legal right to stay in Taiwan
Oh
once
my
he
God.
turned 18. Now, it said before Grandpa Lai passed, he tried to get her Taiwanese residency by having her apply for it, but she was rejected because apparently she had some theft charges and the adultery
So
charge.
ridiculous.
She was charged for that, served prison time. So they're like, we don't want you as a resident because you're weird.
The fight over the
so
money.
Then she was rejected from it. The only way she would get
Are they
it
even
is
trying
if
to figure out if
Grandpa Lai
he
married
got
her.
murdered anymore,
But
or
he's
like
still technically married to Grandma Lai, remember? They never actually
everyone
divorced.
stopped caring?
So he went to Grandma
Everyone
Lai
just
and was
wants
like,
the
you
money
need to
now?
divorce me so that I can marry Chen before she has to leave.
It's kind of
And
sad.
the whole thing, and Grandma Lai had to file a restraining order against him because apparently he got very mad and threatened to shoot and stab her.
Oh.
Which means technically she might be a potential legal loophole in this where the limit does not apply to her because she's
The limit does not exist.
She's technically
Sorry, I had to.
stateless.
Okay, so what's going on right now?
She needs to gain a Taiwanese residency within the next 3 years in order to inherit it if Junior is
Goddamn.
not viable for the inheritance.
Okay, so
But
they're
if she-
fighting right now.
Yes, but if she doesn't get that Taiwanese residency in the next 3 years, it's possible that the inheritance may not go to her either.
Okay,
Oh
so
my
it
God.
doesn't go to him. So no Junior, no mother. Who does it go to?
We don't know, but new people have joined this fight. Grandma
Oh
Lai
my God.
and Grandpa Lai's
Oh, you know
children.
what? I can
So
see it
his
going to Grandma.
half-siblings,
Wait,
aunts and uncles
doesn't
have
it
joined the
belong
mix
to
as
her?
well
They
after
never-
Lai's death. They state that they cannot accept this
Did they
as
get
being
divorced?
transferred. They
Doesn't she
question the
own some of that
fairness
money?
it all, stating that even if Lai were still alive, all of this would just benefit one person and one person only. Grandma Lai says the mistress, the adulterer, Chen.
Well, also,
the
like,
rest of the Lai family have come out with
doesn't
statements since all
Grandma
of this has happened, and they write, "We are the 4 children
technically
of the Lai family. Although
still
we are
get
shocked
the
by
money?
recent events, we have refrained
Isn't it
from
technically
making
still
any
her
statements
money?
or responses due to the lack of interaction between our Lai family matriarch, Grandma Lai, and Chen, Lai's mother. However, we saw in the news that Lai's legal team claimed that his mother currently holds his
'Cause they're
status as,
married?
quote, stateless, and they are actively helping her apply for
They
an ID
did
card in
get
Taiwan.
divorced,
But our
you're
Lai family
right. But doesn't
emotions are
is
stirred
she
once again.
entitled to any of the
This
money?
has reignited the deepest pain that has affected
I feel
our
like
family for
Grandma might be
years.
the rightful
The claim that
heir
Lai's
to the
mother
money.
is stateless is unfounded. She has lived in Taiwan for over 20 years and has been issued a Taiwanese ID card twice, but both times they were canceled. They go on to allege in the letter that Lai's mom should not be allowed to be a Taiwanese resident because so many times prior she had applied and not received it.
Well,
So why would she suddenly
seems
get it
kind of
now?
like a weird
They
reason.
State she has records like adultery and theft on her record. They also state that her becoming stateless was a result of her own actions. They state she decided to give
They're like,
up
"Your
her
fault,
Chinese
bitch."
household residency. Nobody forced her to do that. It's not something that the Taiwanese people needed to rally around, is what they argue. They say that she asked for this, basically, is what they're saying. They allege that Chen refused to leave Taiwan, refused to leave the family alone. Quote, she was likely coveting the substantial properties of our family. They continue, the Lai family assets were accumulated by the Lai family matriarch and patriarch for over 30 years of hard work and should rightfully belong to the Lai family matriarch. The Lai high school students' $15.5 million in assets were all improperly gifted.
Improperly gifted. What does that mean?
They're saying it's not Grandpa's choice. It's Grandpa and Grandma's choice.
So they are claiming
And
she
because
still
Grandma
has the
is still
rightful.
alive, so when you have 2
I
spouses,
see.
Okay,
it
wait,
goes
did they
to
get
your spouse.
divorced?
It doesn't go to whoever you want it to.
Right.
Unless, like, both parties, I guess, sign off on it, is what they're saying.
Right. But Grandpa
Wait, now
just
I don't know if they
decided
got
to give it to
divorced.
But he doesn't have full control. They're saying that's not all of his money.
Yeah. So, okay, that also means the junior and senior, they're the one that help Grandpa managing these things, right? Transfer the ownership. So they know Grandma's in the picture too.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird.
Wow.
It's very tricky. They write in the letter, recently Lai's legal team has claimed in the media that his mother is stateless and thus not subject to the inheritance limit of $65,000 under Article 67.
They're like,
Section
nah,
1.
bitch.
According to the logic of that legal team, if a Chinese person marries a Taiwanese and the Taiwanese spouse dies before the Chinese spouse obtains an ID card, does the Chinese spouse's voluntary renouncement of their Chinese nationality and subsequent statelessness exempt them
Alright,
from
the
the $2 million
bedroom.
inheritance limit under the Act? Is that even reasonable? What was the original purpose of the provision then? How many Chinese spouses might exploit this legal loophole in the future? Currently, their legal team is publicly pushing for Lai's mother to obtain Taiwanese citizenship, aiming to garner sympathy through media and public opinion, and to pressure the government to issue a Taiwanese
I feel like that's a
ID
tricky
card.
one for sure.
However, during her 20 years in Taiwan, apart from engaging in an affair with her father-in-law, giving birth to a child, seizing millions in assets, and multiple theft cases, has she made any positive contributions to the Lai family or Taiwan?
Well,
This is their letter.
she had a
It's very
son,
aggressive.
but
They continue.
okay.
For the past 20 years, Lai's mother has continuously harmed the Lai family matriarch, expelling her from her own home, engaging in incest, and seizing the majority of the family's wealth. As an incestuous mistress, she tore our family apart.
They're coming in
and gave birth to
hard,
a son
bruh.
to take away countless inheritances. Now, with her son deceased, she still seeks to inherit all the estate, obtain an ID card, and continue living in lavish lifestyle in Taiwan, enjoying millions in real estate. How can the Lai family matriarch endure all of this?
Oof.
It's very tricky. I will say netizens are divided for this. A lot of people think that, I mean, that was so long ago. It was 20 years ago. She raised her son, and her son was allegedly killed. Right?
Yeah.
Come on now.
I feel like they're a little bit unhinged, I'm not gonna lie.
This is like a separate thing of they're just fighting for who gets the money. But
Yeah.
the focus here is what happened to Lai? Like who?
Yeah, exactly.
Is he murder? If he is, then we need justice for that, right?
But the problem is, a lot of netizens have been pointing out, his death is the secondary issue.
That's
It seems
fucked.
like this inheritance issue is becoming bigger than his actual death. And netizens are really saddened by this whole thing.
I don't
and
like
even
that.
for all of their arguments, his death is just another argument. So Junior, of course, is arguing that it was self-exit. Why? Because it benefits his shot at the inheritance. Everyone has their own beneficial death story.
Yeah,
So
that just
they may hire an
seems
attorney
shitty.
achieve their best interest.
Yes. But I will say his death is very suspicious, though. But it's just kind of shitty that the inheritance seems to be the number one priority.
Yeah.
It seems like, okay, this is our number one priority, and his death, whichever way benefits this party, or this party seems to be what they're going for. In a sense, in a way, is how netizens feel. It just feels
That's what it seems like, yeah.
It sucks that you can't trust
Why are they
the
different
official
colors?
to solve it.
Yes.
Because then that would be the
Fucking driving me
answer
crazy.
to, you know.
And the inheritance could follow after that. So you thought it was just those three parties, Junior, the mom, and the rest of the Lai family, but you have another party that could be viable for the inheritance. So before Grandpa Lai's
The dad's first
second
daughter.
son had passed, he had given everything to the second son. Because if he gives everything to the second son, then it seems like Chen and Lai will benefit. Because Chen and the second son are legally married.
Yes.
So she would have right to the funds. But when the second son passed away, he moved it to Lai, the grandson, because he cannot give it to Chen, likely because there is a limit to the inheritance, and she's a Chinese national.
Yes, yes.
It goes to little Lai, right? But the problem is, he had given it to the second son, okay?
Huh.
And they're trying to argue that him giving it to the second son, Grandma Lai would have been okay with. But him giving it to little Lai, Grandma is not okay with. So that means if Grandma Lai also approves of the inheritance going to the second son, that means it would be going to his original daughter, his first daughter. That's actually his flesh and blood with the Indonesian wife.
Huh.
When he dies, that money would be inherited by his offspring. And the only offspring that he has is not Lai, because Lai is Grandpa Lai's son. It's his daughter with the Indonesian wife.
Okay.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
That means, for example, Grandpa and Grandma, if they both had consented to giving the full $15 million to their second son dies, right? Now Grandpa is trying to give it to little Lai. But they're saying Grandma never approved of that, which means the inheritance would be stuck with the second son, which means after he dies, if you look at general inheritance laws, because he did not have a will, it would go to his offspring. His only offspring is the daughter with the Indonesian woman.
Oh my god.
Also, he has another granddaughter. Or
remember? So the second son, he brought
So
in the
complicated.
Indonesian woman, they had a daughter together, and then she left. Then he brought in Chen, they didn't have kids together.
Yeah, so where is the granddaughter?
It seems like she might come forward to take a stake in this, we don't know.
Interesting.
Because she's also kind of following the laws, she could also be the next one.
Yes. So there's like so many ways that a bunch of attorneys could argue this whole inheritance law. Some could say, no, the inheritance is stuck with the second son when he died because it seems like grandma didn't oppose that inheritance transfer. So if that's the case, then it would be going to his offspring automatically, which is the daughter from his first marriage.
Damn. I mean, this is just so sad. I feel like just to hear this right now, imagine when Lai was alive. I'm sure.
Yeah, that's probably all everyone talked about.
Ever since the grandpa passed.
Yeah.
Like this is probably been going on.
There.
Like behind the scenes. Very
That's better.
And one netizen writes, and I think they mean this with as most respect for Lai as possible, but it's just the stark reality of things. A child who never asked for this, but their life caused a stir from birth to death.
Poor kid.
Like, Lai never wanted this. He probably just wanted a normal family. And now his aunts and uncles hate him for what? For existing? For something his parents did? It's not
That
even
sucks.
something he did. There is a battle going on in the civil courts right now, which, interestingly, Junior has shown up every single day to court, that he has been summoned across months, even in the winter months when it's pretty cold, in the same blue shirt. It's not even a good-looking shirt, but there are allegations that he ritually altered the shirt. Like, he basically bewitched the shirt for good luck.
Oh,
It's very interesting. So there's a lot of different aspects of this whole case that people are harping on. He also told the judge that he cannot even describe in words his relationship with Lai. And just a reminder, Junior has not been charged with Lai's
Try
death.
describing
He's
it.
therefore innocent till proven guilty. He has been prosecuted through the civil courts for forgery of their fake marriage, which would likely mean that his marriage to Lai has been deemed invalid, and it would likely mean that he's not going to be getting the inheritance. But who knows? It seems like they might be putting up a fight.
It is a fake marriage.
They said forgery. It seems like it's mainly the law is focused on the witnesses that they asked.
Good.
Yeah, which could be argued that the witnesses, then it wouldn't be a legitimate marriage certificate because you do need 2 witnesses.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit confusing. It's not dead set in stone, it seems, from what I can find online, that like, no, you're not getting the money. Yeah, it seems like for the next few years, it's going to be very messy. Even if Junior is out of the picture, it's still a matter of getting down to the nitty gritty of what actually happened to Lai, and also who's
feel
gonna
bad
get the
for
money.
Lai.
And you said his body is frozen?
Because like they're just not
cremating or burying him because there could be forensic evidence. So they're just keeping him in the morgue.
Damn,
for
I
the
mean, I
past
get
year
it,
in
but
limbo
bro.
because of this. And because $15.5 million is on the line. Yeah. Some people feel sympathy for either the family or the mom. Most people, I would just say,
I just feel bad for Lai.
Because he really is just an innocent kid in all of this. Like, he just turned 18. He didn't ask for any of this.
Yeah, I feel so bad for him.
He might have been killed because of it, and now everyone is still just fighting over
The money.
the money.
That's
What are
all
your
anyone
thoughts on
gives a
this
shit
case?
about
What
is
do you
the
think
fucking
actually
money.
happened? And who do you think deserves the money? Let me know in the comments.
I think his
Please
mom
stay safe,
deserves
and I
the
will see you in
money.
the next one.
I feel like his mom deserves the money. The mom or the grandma probably deserve the money. I wonder who's more predatory here, the family fighting for the inheritance or the true crime podcasters taking advantage to profit off the whole situation. Oh my god, you're right. How dare they talk about trending news articles that is public information and in the news. Go cry about NBC or some shit. Like, what are you talking about right now? Like, no one makes that argument about when people post the news. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, I'm so sorry that she did research, donates to the victims' families, as well as other charities that help victims and their families, and then spreads the news worldwide so that more people are aware of the case and what's happening. How horrible. Alright, we have an hour left. Let me find something that's an hour. Bro, I just hope they don't give up on finding out who the fuck did it, because that's really fucking annoying. Like, okay, something that's an hour or less than an hour. Yes. Well, I can't really watch an anime right now while we're on YouTube. There's a reason. There's a reason I'm reacting to YouTube videos. Okay. Okay, this case I remember seeing this case when it first fucking happened. This one is really weird. So, I know. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm literally not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. Dude. I don't know why this computer struggles so fucking hard. I don't know why. Anyway, there you go. Like, why is it so loud? My other computer, that is arguably in a way worse state than this one. I literally have to update my drivers every time I want to, like, export a video. It's that bad. It's like 10 years old. I have infinitely more mods on it. It does not do this. Literally, it doesn't do this. So what the fuck? What the fuck? Also, why these fucking shadows? I need to do something about those stupid shadows. I don't know why they're there. Oh, are you gonna stop crying, computer? Probably not. There. Ta-da! Little cubby. Chat's looking fine for me, but I mean, Jean was literally completely hidden, so yeah, I'm not streaming on the the way Munchie just pulled himself up there, that was so cute, Munchie. Let me get done. Baby. He's just a baby. He's just a little munchy baby. Oh. You're right. Wait, what the fuck? Oh, the fucking Fansly chat popped up, which, how that works is it's just like screen capturing a window, so it'll screen capture any random window. That's so fucking funny. Weird. Anyway. That's fucking weird. I don't know why that happened. Huh. Anyway, let's play the next one. No, because I don't have Fansly chat pulled up, which is why it was just it was just the YouTube window. It was showing the YouTube chat, but like without it being like this. So it's, I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, let's fucking play this, alright? 3, 2, 1, play.
Bada bing, bada boom.
In a hospital room, in the emergency
God damn
department,
it.
there's a college
Thank
student
you.
just laying on the hospital bed,
I wanted to
staring
do
up at
like
the ceiling. She doesn't
smoky
have her
brown
shoes
eye
on.
match.
She's got her hands on her face.
Fall vibe.
She looks very stressed. Someone is in the room with her, recording her. That's how we know this. She's rubbing her face. I'm
What
gonna
can I
have
put on this?
such a long day tomorrow. Oh my god. I'm not gonna answer anyone's Snapchats. I'm not gonna answer anyone's questions. The person recording her does not respond to her, does not even try to comfort her or anything, just records her in silence. She slowly turns her head over to look at the cameraman briefly while she's laying there. Well, you're too quiet. I'm gonna start singing now because I hate the quiet. He still doesn't respond, not much of a response. So she just starts singing, laying there flat on her back on the hospital bed. I mean, clearly she's not that injured. She's singing, moving her arms around, doing the finger guns. Eventually, she needs to get up and put more effort into this performance. She sits up in her hospital bed, takes off her socks, sits crisscross applesauce,
That's so weird.
and starts singing. You know those cute little TikToks that are me at 3 a.m. pretending to be performing on my tour? It's kind of like that. She's cupping her face, she's flipping her hair, she's singing Intentions by Justin Bieber. The lyrics go, picture perfect, you don't need no filter, gorgeous, make him drop dead, you're a killer, shower you with all my attention, yeah, these are my only intentions.
It's floating now.
She's like whipping her head around. She's staring straight at
Damn
the
it.
person quietly filming her. Oh yeah, you never
When that
answered me
fucking
about my car.
happens.
I have school tomorrow. How do I get my car here tomorrow? A very low man's voice is heard behind the camera.
Your car is totaled. What's that? Your car is totaled. Totaled. Wrecked.
Okay, so how do I get to school tomorrow? You don't. So I don't go to school tomorrow? Is that what you're telling me? No, ma'am. You want me to be honest with you? You're going to jail. You don't have a bond. You killed 2 people tonight. That's what's going on. So yeah, no, you're not going to school tomorrow. That man filming is a police officer.
Is she going to high school, middle school?
College.
College, okay.
He's like,
This
what
is
the
the
fuck,
case of Stephanie
bitch?
Melgoza, the college student who killed 2 people and proceeded to complain the whole time of how this could happen to her. She would ask about emailing her professor and sing songs at the crime scene. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support Kaylee Millis Foundation, a non-profit established to
Oh my
encourage
God,
people to
please.
drive
I
responsibly.
just want it to
They help
sit on the
rebuild
railing.
families' lives after experiencing loss and hardship from fatal or non-fatal car crashes through individualized financial assistance,
fuck
grief
it. I'll
counseling,
just put
and
it here.
emotional support. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued
well, I
support
covered
as we
them
work on
a
our mission
little
to be
bit,
worthy
whatever.
advocates. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. There will be 2 separate cases included in today's episode. So one problem that we've been struggling with is we get a lot of requests for cases that are either ongoing and developing, or we just haven't been able to find much information on enough to do this full comprehensive deep dive. And since we only post twice a week, we thought this would be the best way to bring you those stories in this format. So if you ever have any case suggestions, let us know in the comments or at rottenmangopodcast.com.
I
So with
want to
that being said,
put
let's get
some
started.
type of
10:16 p.m. Authorities are called to the scene
Tape?
on
No.
2208 Main Street, in front of a bar called Full Throttle, literally right in front of a bar. There's been an accident. Right when they get
Yeah,
there, they see
we'll do
this
that.
Dodge dark car. parked in the middle of the road. It's red, and there's pretty substantial damage to the front of it. There's this massive large dent to the front hood. There seems to be what appears to be blood splatter. A girl named Stephanie Melgoza is standing off to the side, and she seems relatively uninjured, and honestly, not even in a state of shock. The officers approach her, and she tells them, I called as soon as this shit happened. I go to Bradley, the university nearby. It's actually a top-ranked private university, so just keep that in mind. This is in Illinois. I go to Bradley. Why would this shit happen to me? The officer asks her if anyone took her information, and she starts pointing at him. Her finger is pretty close to his chest. Your friend took my license. Your friend took my license. The officer asks her, were you leaving the bar, or were you... I was coming here. It's a little strange how comfortable she is right now. The way she's talking to the officers, it reminds me of how someone would talk to their mom. When a mom tells you, why did you do that? And you almost half whine, you told me to. I was doing what you told. I was coming here. I was coming here.
Were you leaving the bar? Were you coming this down the road?
I was coming here.
Okay.
I had just gotten my night started.
Do you have
girl,
anything
she's
illegal on you?
plastered.
Yes, I have marijuana in my purse. Have you had any marijuana tonight?
Ma'am, why would you say that to the cops? Girl, what
She
the
has put her
fuck?
purse on the hood of the cop car, and she's still holding some items in her hands.
To the
He asks her
cops,
to put them down, and
no.
she says, my vape too? She later asks, I graduated in 4 weeks. Is this gonna affect anything?
Yeah.
She gets a full pat down before they put her in the backseat of the cop car. And the police, they don't want to ask her more questions right now. Right now, their priority are the two people. Because near that red car, that's Stephanie's car, there are two people laying covered in blood, dead on the ground near the car. Right there at the scene, there are contorted bodies. Even though her car is red, it's pretty easy to see how much blood has splattered all over the windshield and the front bumper of her car. There is
Bro,
blood
how is
quite literally
she-
everywhere. There is a woman laying about 30
Oh, that's
feet
why it's
from the
taller.
red car, which is
Fuck.
quite far. But her leg, part
Damn
of
it.
her leg has been completely severed and is attached
Oh.
to the front
Kitty food
of
time.
Stephanie's vehicle. It's stuck on the front bumper of the car, sticking out the front grille.
Kitten food.
There are photos. It's blurred, but there are photos. There's another man laying about 90 feet from the car, and the officers are seen trying to perform CPR on their bodies, but they're not moving. Their bodies are in a really bad state. It's stated that at least both of them had partial leg amputations, as well as full body blunt force trauma all over.
Bro, and she just doesn't even notice.
Knew that.
Yeah, she's at the crime scene. She sees this.
That's so
She
unhinged.
sees the two
Is
people.
acting completely
She's like,
unfazed.
I called 911 right when this
Grr.
shit happened. Paul Prowant and Andrea Rosewitz, they had been at the Full Throttle bar. And since they had a drink or two, they wanted to be safe. They started walking back home. I don't think that either of them were quite drunk, but I think even a sip, you shouldn't be driving. So they're being extra cautious. They don't want to put themselves, they don't want to put others at risk. It's 10 p.m. It's not that dangerous of a road until Stephanie Melgoza starts driving. And it's very clear from the get-go that she is so intoxicated. She tries to make it seem like she was heading to the bar. She's heading to Full Throttle to, quote, get her night started. With the officer, they read her Miranda rights and ask her, are you open to explaining what just happened? And she's sitting in the back seat of this police car at the scene, and she's like, yeah, I was coming to the Full Throttle, and I was almost here, as you can see.
It's so weird
Were you driving
how
this way or that way? I was coming here, and suddenly, one
nonchalant
person,
she is about it.
she sticks her index finger in front of the police officer. One person walked out in front of me, and my car got hit. And I called you as soon as I got hit.
Oh,
My
girl.
car got hit.
Yes. You called 911? Yes, I called 911. She's nodding her head up and down also the whole time. Like, I freaking told you. How many times I have to tell you? I called 911 as soon as something happened. And then someone said, oh, someone else is hit. And I was like, oh my God, how did that happen? Okay, so what happened when you hit that one person? I just called you. That's all I know. I called you. Did they fall down right away, or did you get out and help them? What happened? I got out, I called you, and then everyone else came out, so I just kind of let them come and take the situation over. But I promise you, I only knew one person got hit, and I'm just like, they came out of nowhere because, like, I'm a safe driver.
Yeah.
I get it. If you had to estimate how fast you were going, I would say at least 40. Maybe 40, 45, but at least 40. The speed limit on this road is 30. You think that you were going too fast for this dark area?
Honestly, don't think I was going too fast because I try to be precautionary about where I'm at. But I just know that one person came out of nowhere.
Did you have your headlights on?
Bro.
Yes, sir.
See, this is why I don't drink. Like,
So obviously you saw them and there was no time
what
to
the
react.
fuck?
And she almost gets half up out of her seat in the back of the police car. Like she's gossiping with friends and they're reaffirming her. No time! Oh, that's word.
That's word.
That's word.
No time.
Okay.
That's word.
Okay.
All right, so where were you coming
Ma'am.
from? I was coming from Tavern 41 on Sterling Avenue. Tavern 31. 41. Yes, sir. And you left Tavern 41 and drove straight here. Yes, sir. Over the course of the night, how much of you had to drink? Like, I probably had, like, 3 drinks. What is, like, 3 drinks? Are you talking, like, what type of drinks? Just vodka? Straight vodka or mixed drinks?
Bro, what even?
Vodka and water, so I was staying hydrated, you know? Like, right now, if you had me do a test, I think I would pass. Just don't test me, but I think I would. I think I would pass.
Oh, they're gonna test you.
I'm gonna be honest. We are going to do those tests here in a little bit, but how long ago was your last drink, if you
Bro,
had to say?
what the
About 40
hell?
minutes. So about 40 minutes ago, you were drinking, and then you drove. Were you drinking while you were in the vehicle, or was this the last drink at the bar? At the bar. On a scale of 1 through 10, 1 being the least drunk you've ever been, and 10 being the most drunk you've ever been, where would you say you'd put yourself right now?
5. Because I've been very drunk. And right now, like, I see you, I see everyone, I know the situation, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm aware of everything.
It is a trans table.
The police do an eyesight coordination test, which she's gonna follow the officer's light
Bro,
with just her eyes.
dude,
I think
she
it's wild
is
because she is seen smiling and laughing for even a few
on a
seconds
whole
of it.
other planet.
And okay, listen, I tend to give people a lot of grace when it comes to nervous laughing. I'm a nervous laugher. You give me slightly bad news, take me off guard, I will smile because I feel very stressed on how to respond. But nervous smiling and laughing, in my opinion, do not extend to this level. Like they're just minor stressors. This is a life-threatening, life-consequential type of situation. But she's smiling and giggling because it's hard not to move her head, you know? And she's like following the light with her eyes. At one point, she even grabs hold of her face with both of her hands. The whole eye coordination test, which is supposed to test how jerky your eyes are when they move side to side. So when you're drunk, no matter how good you are at, quote, hiding it or behaving like you're sober, it's very hard to fake this test. So for example, right now,
I
if
have
you're
the
sober, and I
nystagmus,
move my finger
so
across the screen, you can follow them very smoothly, even to the corners
Or
of your
as-
eyes and then back. It's almost like a train going
Astigmatism,
back and forth.
that's what the
You'll
word
notice
is.
that drunk people,
so tired.
it's like 3 points. They look straight, then they jump to the left.
I love
then they
being
jump to the
legally
right,
blind, I
then they
say
look straight. It's
sarcastically.
very jerky. And then even when they're looking to the nearest of the left or the right, their eyes will have these jerking movements, almost like twitches, if you will. Because if you're that drunk, that's what happens. It's very difficult to hide it. At one point, the officer tells her, "You gotta put your hands down." And she's like, fine. Like they're playing a game and she broke the rules. And you can visibly see on the camera that her eyes are jerky. It's like a 3-point, like 1, 2, 3 that she's doing with her eyeballs. She states the eye test is so hard, she would rather just walk in a straight line for them, which don't worry, she is instructed to do just that next. 1 foot in front of the other. She's gonna do that, then go back to her original standing position, back and forth. And it's
Goddamn.
It's likely that she knew that this was gonna trip her because the minute that she does a few feet in front of the other, she just stops. Puts her feet right next to each other. And then she's like, oh, let me try again. Like, she acts confused on, wait, what were the instructions again? It's very choppy. It's very shaky. Then she's told to balance on one leg. I mean, she can barely keep her balance. She looks like a gymnast who is about to fall off the balance beam. So they kick their other leg up to gain stability. That's what she's doing. After that, the police want her to take a blow test to check her alcohol, and they tell her, take a long, hard, steady blow into the straw like you're blowing up a balloon. And she starts smiling and giggling.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Take a deep breath, long, hard, steady blow.
It's almost troll joke, it seems. And then she giggles before blowing into the test. The other police officers standing on the side, they look so done with her. Likely, these are the same officers that were just performing CPR on the two bodies on the side of the road.
Like this
and
fucking
now they're
bitch.
watching her making this seemingly joke. She's even seen smiling while being handcuffed and escorted to the back of the cop car. She is smiling. While the other officers, they look depressed. I don't know how else to put it. They just look over it. They look depressed. They're the only ones that seem to grasp what just happened to Paul and Andrea.
I mean,
Both
that's because
Paul
they're
and
sober.
His girlfriend Andrea were found deceased at the scene. It was clear that they weren't going to make it. One officer report reads, Andrea's left leg had been completely severed below the knee. She had a deep laceration
I feel
to
so
the
bad
inside
for
of her
them.
right thigh. I observed that her right forearm and wrist were completely broken. She had blood draining out of her left ear. As for Paul, another officer wrote in his incident report, I observed that he was missing his right leg below the knee. He was not alert and had blood coming from his mouth. I felt a weak pulse and began CPR. My squad started to cordon off the crime scene, and a short time later I observed the firefighters placing sheets over both the victims. I walked over to the front of the suspect vehicle and observed a severed leg and foot with a shoe on it that was pinned to the front bumper of the suspect vehicle.
I cannot be a cop.
I observed a second severed lower leg and foot on the ground next to the grass. The officer asked the bartender.
Like, I feel bad for cops because, like, the shit that you have to fucking see is
all the bar patrons had run out. They had heard this massive crash. So they're figuring out what's going on. The officer asked the bartender if the victims drove to the bar. She points at an SUV in the parking lot. She believed that was theirs, which it was confirmed to be theirs, indicating they didn't want to endanger anyone by driving because they had something to drink, so they left on foot. They did the right thing. They did the safest thing for themselves and for others on the road, but Stephanie Melgoza did not. They did everything right, and they were still killed. Another officer notes that while at the crime scene, Stephanie was just standing off to the side, just watching while people perform CPR on the victims. These are not the victims'
Dude, what
friends,
is wrong
family.
with her?
These are not, I don't even think they're medical professionals. They're just random bar patrons and bar staff that want to help. Other people are just freaking out, running, hysterical.
I feel like there's got to be something like
body cam footage, but the officer wrote in his
really
incident
wrong
report
with
that
her
Stephanie told him,
because
I'm willing to cooperate with everything and do whatever you want as long as you're not mean to me. She kept insisting, and I quote, Sir, I can tell you right now that it was not two people. She stated that it was just one person that ran out onto the road all of a sudden, which is not that credible because the legal limit for alcohol for driving is 0.08. Stephanie Melgoza's blood alcohol level was 0.253, almost 3 times the legal limit. Typically, that is severe impairment. All mental, physical, and sensory functions are severely impaired. Even just walking is dangerous for the drunk person because that person is likely going to have increased risks of accidents, of falls. They have severely impaired coordination and balance. It's also likely the risk of choking on their own vomit at this stage of alcohol impairment is heightened. And because of that, Paul and Andrea are now dead. Their cause of death were both listed as multiple blunt force traumas sustained as a pedestrian being struck by a motor vehicle. When the authorities are getting her ready to be taken to the hospital, Stephanie Melgoza starts talking again. Can I ask you a question? I have an 8 a.m. tomorrow at Bradley. An 8 a.m. class. Will I be able to make it or should I email my professor? The officer seems kind of taken aback and just tells her for the time being they're going to be together for the next few hours at least. She's like, yeah, no problem, as long as I can text my professor. On the way to the police station, she's telling the officer that's driving that she's so embarrassed. Not because of what she did. She explains while laughing, I didn't think he could hear me, but he heard me. Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. I thought I was by myself in the back, but I wasn't alone. Oh gosh.
Ooh.
She was singing to herself in the back of the cop car, and she thought she was alone, but there was another police officer that heard her. And she was embarrassed.
What the fuck?
The officer just ignores her and starts driving, at which point you can kind of hear her mumbling and singing in the back, and it sounds like she's asking the officer to sing tunes. He responds, sing tunes? I don't think it's the appropriate time to sing tunes right now. He just tells her that they're going to go to St. Francis, the hospital, to do a ton of paperwork, to which she responds, I have an internship there next summer.
Yeah?
Really? She's not aware that she's likely going to be in prison next summer. Do you? Yeah, when I graduate. I'm excited. Yeah, the Department of Health. They recruited me as an official analyst. Oh, okay. And it's gonna be $17 an hour, which is a good job for starting out, coming out of college. I understand. I'm excited. I'm scared, but I'm just ready to work and not be in the food industry for once, you know?
Girl.
Eventually, they tell her, you understand what we're gonna do. First off, I'm gonna let you know that you did hit 2 people, total. I did not.
No, but you did,
You did.
though.
I didn't, purposefully. Okay, well, however you want to word it yourself, that's fine. I'm just telling you, there's 2 people struck by your vehicle and both are dead. I did not hit them.
You did.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, the 2 people that hit your car, ma'am, listen. 2 people struck your vehicles, I'm telling you, and they're both deceased on scene. I'm just telling you that information, okay? We're gonna go in here, we're gonna do the thing. I appreciate you being cooperative so far. I gotta tell you what's going on. You understand?
She honestly looks agitated in the back of this police car, like he's lecturing her about something that she already knows. They finally get out of the car, they start walking towards the emergency entrance of this hospital, and she mentions that she does have blood on her. And the police officer, honestly, he's maintaining his cool this whole time. He's very calmly just explaining, well, your whole windshield is shattered, so that's understandable. I know what I did, and I know what I didn't do. And it's not true. If it were true, I would be crying. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh my god, I did this. I'd be like, but I know what I did.
What does she think she did?
She thinks that someone jumped out in front of her car and hit her. One person.
What?
Okay.
And then she immediately called the police because she did nothing wrong.
That person
Did she actually call the cops?
Yes.
Since.
Yes, and that's likely not even what happened, and she's very drunk.
Yeah, but still, even so, like, nobody would be like...
Yes, okay, that's
so weird.
That's a very good point. Even if her version of events is true, her behavior is bizarre.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, like...
So
yes,
fucking
she's
weird.
under influence and all of that, but it's still really odd.
It gets worse. Her behavior gets weirder. So when they get into the hospital room, it's just Stephanie Melgoza and the police officer inside the room. And she starts rambling about how excited she is about going to Vegas. She literally says, I'm going to Vegas. It's going to be so much fun.
I'm going to spend at least $500. I'm going to start off with $200.
Which is an alcoholic beverage. The police officer turns
Girly
around
Pop, I don't think you're going
this whole
to...
time. His body cam is on, and that's how we know this footage. But he's been doing paperwork. He turns around. You haven't had enough drinking already? We're talking about Vegas. I feel like I'm in Vegas. You know, have you been there? He ignores her, and he keeps using his phone, to which she says,
I swear to God, if you're Snapchatting right now without me...
If you're Snapchatting right now without me on it...
Crazy.
According to a few officers, she kept asking for her phone because she needed to Snapchat her friends, and she kept stating this is the longest she's ever gone without Snapchatting her friends. Later, she gets escorted into a bigger hospital room, and she's laying on the hospital bed. This is when she starts singing Justin Bieber songs and keeps asking the officer about when she's going to get her car back because she has classes tomorrow. And he tells her, and he's so done with her, she's honestly cruel. He tells her she's not going to class tomorrow. She's been arrested for killing 2 people, but she bypasses all of this information and asks, can I get it Tuesday for my night class? Can I get my car Tuesday for my night class? Did you just hear what I told you? You said I'm not going tomorrow, but I'm asking about Tuesday.
Did you just hear what I just told you?
You said I'm not going tomorrow. I'm talking about Tuesday.
Did you hear what I said that
I'm going to jail tomorrow.
You're going to jail when we're down here?
Yes.
Did you understand what I told that you killed 2 people tonight?
Yes. I'm just wondering when I can go to school.
Okay, we're done.
Oh.
She rolls her eyes, leans back down to lay down on the hospital bed, and the man tells her, you could care less about killing 2 people tonight. That's sad. You're pathetic and horrible all at the same time. And he was so composed throughout this whole situation. And she turns to him, laying down, and says, can you say that as a cop?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, I can. It's kind of strange that she gets so upset and even questions if he can even say that, if he can even do that to her, treat her like this. Like, how dare he, when she literally killed 2 people.
What even?
Okay, so can I ask when I get to go back to school? Should I email my professors that I can't go back to school for a while or what? Because I graduate in 4 weeks. Like, I need to know. I don't know. The officer is sitting down and she's laying on the hospital bed like it's her couch, and she's just chit-chatting with her best friend in her living room. That's the position.
What
even if I didn't have a police officer in my hospital room, I don't think that I would be that comfortable in a hospital room. The way she's laying, it's like, you know when you put you bend at your knees.
All right, now it's all
you
lit.
almost kind of rest them on top of each other, and her legs are kind of spread out. It's just very, her body language is just so comfortable. I don't even think that I would lay down like this at a friend's house. Unless I'm maybe sleeping over. Unless maybe I don't know, so close with them. She looks like she's about to binge watch a Netflix show by herself, and she's staring at the police officer. And he just responds, to be quite frank, I'm a little bit more worried about the 2 people who are dead right now, to be fair. She rolls her eyes and repeats, to be fair. For a second, she's laying there rather quietly. Well, quietly for her.
Bro,
so
she's
I thought maybe she's done now, right? But she continues. Oh my god. I can't wait to join the DUI club. All my coworkers have them. Oh my god, all of them have them. They're gonna be like so fucking, oh my god, I gotta text them.
Girl, what?
She calls it a DUI club.
Yeah.
Like, she's so excited and
Yes.
happy.
What the fuck?
The officer reports that throughout the night, she kept asking for her phone so that she could text her friends that she finally joined the DUI club. She continues rambling to herself, and she's smiling as she's saying that, by the way, the whole DUI club. She's smiling about how silly goofy she and her coworkers are. And finally, she sits up at the edge of the hospital bed, still talking to I don't know who. It's okay, though, because they're taking me to Vegas for my birthday in 2 months. That'll be fun. We just can't wait. It'll be like partying.
How old is she turning?
She's 24, so I assume she's turning, well, 25 maybe, yeah. And then she starts singing again. She was charged with failure to reduce speed to avoid an accident, possession of cannabis in a motor vehicle, and aggravated reckless driving resulting in death, as well as aggravated DUI resulting in death. I mean, essentially, she went to a bar, got very drunk, and then had a giant bottle of Tito's vodka in her car, and presumably was drinking while driving, literally, and then hit them. I think that she just didn't see them because she was so drunk.
Are they, like, on crossing the street? Or...
We don't know. It seems like they were just on the side, walking like you normally would.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't... There was no statement that they were crossing the street or anything. It seems like it was purely, she just almost basically aimed at them, is the feeling. I don't think that she intentionally did, obviously. She had weed in her purse, as well as that large bottle of Tito's vodka in her car. Now, there's a lot of notable moments from this case. We don't have much information on really anybody. We don't have much information on the victim or how they were walking, at which part of the road they were walking, or any witness statements from Stephanie Melgoza at the previous bar that she was at, because she would plead guilty. So we didn't need any of these testimonies. There was really no trial. Now, other notable moments from this case include, well, in the back of the police car, because there's a camera there, she's being driven to the hospital, and she starts pointing out the fact that the officer's window is so clean in the back seat that it almost looks transparent. She's like, damn, your windows are really clean. I thought it was down. I thought your window was down, like dead ass. Like, your windows are really clean.
Look, if you were in my position, you'd be like, wow, that window is down. You keep your vehicle well maintenance.
She then continues to sway and dance to imaginary music. She also angrily states to the camera that one of the officers is being a dick by accusing her of being drunk. And she says, I've never been more comprehensive. Or, what's the word? I guess. I don't know. That's about it. She literally says that. Mind you, she's talking to herself. Then she continues to sway and dance to the music, which is the thing that she does on and off the entire night. At one point, she starts dancing in the backseat in a way that I can only describe as intense dancing. I mean, she's mouthing words to a song. She looks like she's about to grind on the seat, making faces like you would if you're performing on stage. She also asks the officer while he's driving, can I hit my nicotine pen, please?
Ma'am.
Oh, that's all I want. He tells her no, and she goes, fine, I'll just pretend. She pretends to suck in air like she's using a vape pen.
Damn,
it's the most
what
ridiculous
the
footage I've seen
fuck?
in a really long time. And she comments, feels the same, honestly. And keeps doing it, even exhaling like she's puffing out smoke.
That's
She's
actually
pled
kind of
guilty
relatable, I'm not
to
gonna
all her
lie.
charges, and she was sentenced to 14 years in prison. She is 24 years old. She said in court, I'm
Bro,
so sorry
you're
for
so
everything, and I'll
dumb.
never ever commit anything like that again.
You
I
ruined
have not
so many
drank
people's
since that
lives,
day.
including
I do
your
not plan on
own,
drinking ever again.
for no
I
reason.
want to try and do something positive to make a difference.
There.
Speak out about this and warn others about the dangers that come with drinking.
There's not really, okay. Speak, how,
She
I
was
mean,
out on
okay.
bail, but also you're going to prison, so I imagine that you don't really have a choice in whether you're drinking or not for the foreseeable future. So it's not really something to say,
Yeah,
like,
right?
"Oh, look, I've changed." Her attorney also argued that he wanted to, quote, pay it forward by using her story to prevent others from making the same mistake. Then, Stephanie Melgoza turned to Paul and Andrea's family and said, I never meant to hurt anyone. I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused. I will not forget them, and I will live with this every day. Which is the most generic statement that you could ever say.
Yeah.
One of Paul and Andrea's family members stated, you have destroyed multiple families with your selfishness. You have zero consideration for others. It was her decision to drive drunk, and she should be held accountable. Because you chose to drink, you chose to get drunk and then drive. Our friends and family have a sentence of daily pain and grief that grows greater each and every day. But most importantly, Paul and Andrea have lost their lives. Such precious gifts lost forever. The victim's family stated that it was Stephanie Melgoza's decision and her decision alone to drink and drive that night. They demanded the maximum sentence of 28 years, which they sadly did not receive.
What the fuck? Why?
She has to serve at least 85% of her 14-year sentence, meaning she could get out in 11 and a half years.
Boo.
She's still in her 30s.
Yes. But not only that, it gets worse. She ends up still receiving her diploma from Bradley University.
What?
Everybody was so upset. At first, everyone thought that she would even be walking at the graduation because she was out on bail. And there was such a huge uproar. Students were threatening to not show up. It was really bad. She was eventually banned from walking, but she still received her degree. The even more unhinged part is some people actually defend her online, stating, there is not one person on earth that hasn't made a mistake sometime in their life.
Girl, that's not a mistake. That's a conscious series of
That person,
choices.
I would just like to say,
No way, is it not a lot of people, right?
no, this is a small group of people, and
Oh.
maybe, like, they are the mistake. I don't know.
Ow.
Your lack of common sense and good judgment is the mistake here. How could you even say that? One person commented on Stephanie's father's Facebook post.
That's,
"My
like,
heart
actually
hurts
so
for
fucking
you and your
unhinged."
family. Stephanie
Yeah, like,
is a
that's
wonderful person
not a
and you're
mistake.
great
What the
family.
fuck?
I'm sorry for the people who don't understand your situation. I pray for you daily, hoping for forgiveness and understanding." It's bizarre, but nonetheless, I do think most netizens do not like her. They feel zero sympathy for her. She said, "Can you say that as a cop?" About the cop calling her pathetic. Honestly, that officer exercised an incredible amount of restraint. You can hear the anger and the incredulity in his voice, and I'm certain that officer saw the condition of the victims, and her nonchalance would have angered anyone. She obviously did not give a weaker person than that officer would have wreaked vengeance. There were some arguments that she was clearly so drunk that her mind likely did not register the gravity of what she had done. I personally have never been that drunk enough to say, but those who have been, those who have been very, very intoxicated before wrote online, even in my most wrecked days back in college, I've never been so hammered as to not care if I've just killed 2 people. Being drunk just lets the real you
Being
show.
drunk is not
I
an
bet her true
excuse
self
to, like,
has horrific disregard for other
not
people.
even
I mean, even her
register
sober
that you
actions
killed
after
someone?
being arrested and what she said to the family and everything is just bizarre. To make matters worse, it's alleged that while out on bail before her sentencing, Stephanie Melgoza got married to her boyfriend and got pregnant.
Wait, how? Why?
Ghost
She
Jean.
gets arrested. I think she had $150,000.
Are you
bill,
still
so she
unable to
paid
type in the chat?
$15,000 of it. Got out, awaiting the sentencing, and within that few months span, she got married and then got pregnant and then had a gender reveal.
Okay.
Yeah. Allegedly, the caption to the now since deleted Instagram post, posted allegedly by Stephanie Melgoza, reads, "Through the hardest time of my life." I never thought I would have someone come into my life and become such a big part of me. Through my worst, I have found someone who wanted to stand by me and help me get through the toughest moments, but also someone to create beautiful moments with, something that I wasn't sure would happen again. I truly believe this is what it means to find a lifelong partner. I am truly blessed to be able to call you my husband. So as of right now, she is in jail for the next 11 years, hopefully 14.
Good.
I guess all we can do is hope that
She's
she
scary.
does learn remorse in prison, because whether we like it or not, she's gonna be free and
I don't like
likely
it.
back on the road one day. Yeah, many netizens have commented that this is the easiest fatality in the United States to get rid of. I mean, what are your thoughts on this one? Because I just don't even understand. I don't understand even her actions afterwards.
Yeah.
Even if you argue, oh, she was drunk.
Like, I feel like being drunk
even
just
her
doesn't...
sober actions are so bizarre to me. What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments.
She's weird and confusing.
For a few years, investing was the one subject that I was too scared to touch. Everyone was telling me how important it is to learn. This is before I met my husband. I didn't
Honestly,
have the
that's
time
me
to
every
look
time I
into
see my
it,
mom. She's like,
understand
oh,
it,
invest
like,
in
what kind
this.
of account
I'm like,
should I be
please
putting
leave
my
me
money into?
alone.
Am I putting in enough
Stop talking
money?
to me.
What's good? What's
I'm not
bad?
investing in shit.
It's just so overwhelming that I would push it off until later and later and later. Except investing can actually be so easy to the point that I wish I started it sooner. Today's episode is sponsored by Acorns. Acorns makes it easy to start automatically saving and investing for you, your kids, your retirement. You don't need
That's
a lot
my
of money or
favorite thing
expertise to invest
to
in
do
Acorns.
is
In
to
fact,
set
you
something
can
on a
get started with
counter
just
and then
change.
move the counter
Acorns
and make it
recommends an
float,
expert-built portfolio that
because that
fits
way
you
you're not
and your money
constrained,
goals,
and
then
also
automatically invest your money for you. And now Acorns is
you can
putting
use
their
the
money
counter
into your
still,
future.
because sometimes
Open
if you have
Acorns
stuff
Later
set on a
IRA
counter,
and
it
get
won't
up
let
to
you
3%
use it.
match on new contributions.
But you
That's
just hold the
extra money
Alt
for your
key when you do
retirement.
this,
Acorns has helped me take the stress out of investing
and you
with
can
just this one
get off
app.
grid.
I'm able to save, invest, and learn all at the same time. They make it so convenient because I'm the type of person to forget to invest, but Acorns lets me set up automatic transfers, allowing me to meet my investment goals. Head to acorns.com/rotten or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today.
Can't use this
Paid
counter
client
anyway.
testimonial. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/rotten.
There. Ta-da. Okay, we need
I can
a
honestly tell you
rug.
that my least favorite part of the day is planning and cooking dinner. There are
Yes.
just so many
Oh,
steps.
dinner.
for it
I
to-
want
it just
food
becomes
so bad. I still want
need to
Dippin'
prep
Dots,
the
actually.
ingredients, take out all my pots and pans for the dish, and it
I
just
still
makes
want
me
fucking
dread
Dippin'
the hour or
Dots
two
from
that I'm
earlier.
gonna spend in the kitchen. It's why I've developed a very bad habit of ordering takeout lately. And at the end
Nice.
of
We
each
have our
month,
little
I always
kitchen
regret how
set
much I
up.
spent on takeout alone,
Gotta put some
because
stuff on
it's
the
just so
walls.
expensive. And if I'm being honest, it's probably not the healthiest.
Not you.
That is why I am obsessed with Hungry Root. Hungry Root sends you fresh, high-quality groceries with simple, delicious recipes. I love it
You
because
can't
it's
sleep.
just as easy as ordering takeout.
I can
place
never
my
sleep,
order
so I
on my
feel
phone,
you.
and they will deliver it straight to my door. The best thing about Hungry Root, though, is that they have recipes
Not being
that
able
take
to
5
sleep
minutes or
is
less.
the
I don't even have
worst.
to worry about making this huge mess in my kitchen because some recipes are as simple as 3 ingredients. My go-tos have been the curry chicken and zucchini stir-fry. The coconut curry
I love
sauce
this
just
fucking
tastes so
bookshelf.
delicious, and with the quinoa
Best
chicken,
thing they've
it's
added to the
super
game
filling,
ever.
but Hungry Root can
'Cause,
be
like,
tailored just for you. They get to know your personal
I can
health
set it
goals, your
anywhere,
dietary restrictions,
almost.
favorite foods, how
Ignore
much time
that
you wanna
that's
spend
clipping.
cooking, 'cause I know some people love it,
And then I can
so
set
much
stuff on
more.
top of it.
Once they have all
And
of
you
that,
can
they
make
will
them
build you
float,
a
but, like, dude, you can do
personalized
so
cart all
much
your
with
grocery
it.
needs for the week. It's like having someone else do all the planning and shopping, so you don't even have to think
There.
about it.
Okay,
But even
that's
if you don't like all the recommendations, each order is fully customizable, meaning you can take out their suggestions or choose to replace it with anything you want.
Do I
And
want
Hungry Root has everything you
blinds?
could want.
I need
They've got
these.
fresh produce, high quality meat and seafood, healthy snacks, smoothies, and even snacks and meals made specifically for kids. Everything from Hungry Root follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole trusted ingredients. Right now, Hungry Root is offering Rotten Mango listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/rotten to get 40% off your first delivery.
Ew,
and
why
get
are these
your
all
free
ugly
veggies.
as fuck?
That's hungryroot.com/rotten. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you.
Good concept, but like, ew. Why It's so ugly.
The next case starts unraveling June 27th of this year. So this is very recent because it takes just 4 minutes to ruin Linton Wyrick's entire relationship. 4 minutes. His relationship is practically over. 4 minutes, and now Linton's girlfriend is in the hospital, concerned that all of this stress of her relationship being ruined is going to harm their baby because she's been carrying Linton's baby for the past 7 months. Linton is this fitness online coach, quote, personal trainer and musician. That's his bio.
Don't worry, I'll move everything.
And he's usually an okay guy, kind of. Not really.
You're not convincing me.
He does have a bit of a criminal history for dangerous driving, assaulting a police officer, breaking into a residential home and stealing $82,000 worth of luxury goods. Literally, he took a suitcase nearby, started piling up all the jewelry and handbags that he could find in this homeowner's safe.
Oh.
But other than that, he is generally an okay guy. Sure, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Other
To each their own, right? But this
Okay.
time, these 4 minutes have taken it too far. When she, the girlfriend, finally sees Linton again for the first time, everyone that saw this weird, awkward gathering said she was walking in towards him in a blind fury. All she could see was probably red. She's beyond enraged. How could he humiliate her like this? Everyone had seen the video. Literally everyone. I wouldn't be surprised had there not been some sort of barrier between them that she would have thrown a glass of water at him or something. How is he going to explain to me this one? He's caught on video cheating on her. And this 4-minute video is as bad as it gets. It shows
I'm going to take a little short break. Take the dogs out. I think I'm going to post the Cinderella content during the break.
Now, the strangest part is this video is not filmed.
And grab myself a snack because we're watching the debate next. So if you're joining us for the late night stream on Fansly, we're watching the debate. We're going to keep playing The Sims probably while we're watching the debate. Keep building more. Fill out our world so we can play with it. It'll be good.
Linton continues by grabbing the woman in the video by her neck. He's got both
queen.
his hands around her neck.
Oh.
And then he starts kissing her neck, and the cameraman is rushing to get a better angle, and he comments, "Guys, we've made history. This is what I'm telling you." Then he gets the camera right up in her face, where it's clear that both the participants, Linton and this girl, this woman, know that they're being filmed. But they're so engrossed in the dirty deed that they don't even seem to care. Even though Linton has a pregnant girlfriend back at home. Nobody cares.
Great.
The cameraman then again shows himself, and he's smoking. There's clouds of smoke in this room. It does not appear to be an attempt at a professionally filmed X-rated video. I know the word cameraman makes it sound like they're trying to create a high-end film or something, but it's very weird. It's very homemade, if you will. Linton has his hands around her neck, and when they hear someone trying to come in, the cameraman slams the door shut again and says, give me a minute, just 1 second. And the cameraman proceeds to place his hand over this woman's mouth to keep her quiet. It's a very weird dynamic. So Linton is the one having intimate relations with her. The cameraman is blocking someone from entering through the door and then placing his hand on this woman's mouth to keep her from making noises. There's a lot going on.
Still doing it?
Yeah, they're still doing it, and I don't know who's trying to come in. Now, this goes on for 4 minutes. And the worst part of all of this is the woman he's having relations with in this clip had gone viral before. She was one of the couples from this British reality TV show called The Open House Great Experiment. The show is supposed to be about exploring what it's like to be in a non-monogamous relationship with a bunch of couples in open relationships or couples wanting to try open relationships.
Like the knives that go on the wall. Where the fuck are the knives?
They're free to explore with other
Where is the
it's
knife?
a show about swinging and multiplayer activities under the disguise of
multiplayer activities.
I do think that a lot of people can have great, healthy, open relationships. I don't think that's the problem, but apparently the show did not handle it well. There were clearly couples and people that were insecure and did not feel good about what was happening. One netizen writes, I started watching the first episode. I think it's messed up so far. The first couple, the blonde girl and her husband, he admits he lacks confidence and feels like he's not good enough. It seems like he needs therapy rather than seeing his wife get intimate with another man on television. It's very messed up, and the guy will probably have lifelong trauma after this. But another netizen writes, you realize nobody forced any of them to participate? It blows my mind that people are trying to cancel the broadcaster. How are they at fault for broadcasting a series where voluntary couples explore open relationships?
There you are,
It's
bitch.
almost like exploration isn't predictable. Regardless of where you stand, I do have to say the show really nailed down the shock value. There at one point was a 15-person event where they all had intimate relations between 15 people. The girl in the video, the one that's having intimate relations with Linton, she was one of the 15 on the reality show. Her name is Linda de Souza Abreu, and she was on the show last year with her husband Nathan. So she's married. And she said, monogamy is a social construct that should be dismantled. Opening up our relationship has allowed us to form a deeper connection with each other. Which, I don't know if it's just the editing, but almost immediately after, she's seen twerking right up in front of another woman's face and then kissing two people at the same time. Just 3 people making out at the same time.
Nice.
This happened where?
In the UK. This happened...
case is a UK case, okay.
Yes, so the reality show was released in 2023. This is season 2, and then this new video is in 2024.
The 4-minute video.
Yes, where she's having intimate relations with a man named Linton. And the whole open house reality show, it's just a lot. There's a lot of emotions swirling around. And to make matters even more interesting, Linda has that 15-person orgy and talks about how she's been with her husband for 9 years and they've been open for 3 years and they've got an 8-year-old daughter together.
Oh.
So does her husband know that she's being filmed having intimate relations with Linton right now in this 4-minute clip? Now, like I said, a lot can happen in 4 minutes. Linton is sitting down at one point and Linda is all over him and the cameraman is just sitting directly in front of them, perhaps 2 feet away, filming, smoking, turning the camera on him to say, there's a movie in it, gangsters. You know you're a gangster, right? He's talking to Linton. No one's coming through that door, bro. I will fight them. No one's coming. Do your thing, bro. There's a giant bottle of baby oil on the table next to them.
No!
He keeps saying, you know we are family. This is how we live.
No. Diddy's there.
What?
Wandsworth. Wandsworth, as in HMP Wandsworth, Britain's 2nd largest prison located in South London.
They're in a jail?
Linton is an inmate. The cameraman is his cellmate. And Linda, the woman that Linton is having
How the fuck did she get in there?
a prison guard. In the video, you can hear her radio turn on and you can make out some of the words. All stations, activity patrols. She's supposed to be guarding the inmates. Instead, she is in their cell having intimate relations with one while his cellmate records it on a phone that's been illegally smuggled into the prison. Some portions of the video are described as the woman's white prison blouse is visible and her belt, which usually contains handcuffs, a baton, and pepper spray to control the inmates, is bouncing up and down her waist.
Girl.
Clearly, she's breaking a ton of rules. I mean, not just rules put in place by the prison, but also the unofficial rules that female prison officers have set for themselves. One female prison guard writes online about the rules of being a prison guard in a male facility. She says, welcome to the show. Here's what you need to know.
That just seems like a bad idea.
They're gonna try you. It'll mostly be slick comments that are inappropriate to see how far they can go, or always wanting to talk to you about BS issues just to be up in your face, and never, I mean never allow this to slide. If you do, they will keep doing it. Any unwanted physical, you order them to cuff up. You have to establish right from the start that that nonsense is not going to fly, and you will enforce the rules. Avoid being alone with inmates, especially off camera. Situational awareness is life or death. Know where you are, know where everybody around you is, where backup is, and don't walk around blindly. Head on a swivel at all times. This will prevent getting hemmed up or blindsided. When your life is in jeopardy, do whatever you have to do to get out alive. Getting choked out, gouge out an eye, or bite down on any flesh that you can get in your mouth. 3 or more have you cornered? Hit the man down button, empty your pepper spray can all the way, and pick up anything to protect yourself. I mean, this is clearly
sounds
not
like a
what
fun
Linda
job.
was doing inside that cell. In fact, the inmate had close access to her baton, her taser, her radio. He at one point, or multiple points throughout the video, had both of his hands around her neck. To give you some context, Linda is a Portuguese national living in London. She recently started working as a prison
What is she
guard
thinking?
earlier this year, so a few months ago. Honestly, nobody in her family even knew that she wanted to be a prison guard. It just came out of nowhere. She went
Man,
from
I
being
want,
a
like, a little
personal trainer
tabletop
to
mirror,
going
but I
on
don't
this
think I have
reality
one.
show, The Open House, and now she decides, hey, I'm gonna go inside one of the most understaffed, overpopulated prisons in South London. At first, nobody could understand why. But, I mean, sure, it's a job, it pays, but surely there's easier jobs, right?
Grr.
Until she starts her OnlyFans. Her username was allegedly
Girl.
Linda from the Playroom. Or, she said you could call her La Madre, the mother. Her bio allegedly read, before the account went private, happily married Latina that wants to share hot content with you. We believe in authenticity. All our content will be genuine, and we will never fake it because we want you to enjoy watching it as much as we enjoy making it.
Girl.
Which begs the question of, did she do all of this to promote her OnlyFans account? Linda's sister did an interview with Daily Mail where she confirmed, my sister's a swinger. She was on a horror called
Girl, please. Please, you can't be that horny.
I only found out that
Come
she works for the
on.
prison service in January. That's when I spoke to her and said, do
Come
not mix your
on.
lifestyle with work. Don't be stupid.
Don't
do
mix
stupid
your
things.
life. They
We're all
knew.
human.
They
We all
knew
make
she was gonna
mistakes,
do
and
it.
sometimes impulse can get the better of us.
They're like,
But
Queen,
it's probably one of the
don't
poorest
fucking do this.
decisions
Don't
that
embarrass
she's
me,
ever made.
bitch.
Wait, the sister knew this is what she wants to do?
No, so she's saying she has OnlyFans. Don't mix it with work. So I guess, yeah, she has a
She knew.
inkling.
She knew.
She's
Yeah.
like, what do you mean?
She's like, I know what you're gonna do,
who
bitch.
comes to that conclusion? Like, I would never think about that.
That's true. If you have a hobby on the side or a second job, you wouldn't mix
Yeah,
it
if
with
I
work.
Because
know
she's
someone
known
who's
to do
OnlyFans,
this, probably.
And they also like, I don't make that connection. That's crazy.
Yeah, so
Crazy.
perhaps, yeah.
Wow.
It probably didn't help in Linda's case that she tried to,
Oh my
I
god.
wouldn't say flee, but she tried to leave the country immediately after the video starts going viral. She took her passport, drove to Heathrow, and tried to fly into Madrid.
No, she
The video was
dipped
taken by
immediately.
the cellmate.
And he posted it on social media,
Oh,
and
God.
at first it went viral in the prisons because everybody has an illegally smuggled phone. Yeah.
So she is okay with that. She knew this was taken, and she knew this was getting posted.
The suspicion here is that she thought it would leak, and her name would be everywhere, and she could capitalize on it. But I think she discovered very quickly that she broke laws.
It's, yeah,
and she
that's a
was gonna get
crime,
arrested.
though.
She didn't know she was breaking laws.
I guess not. That seems to be the case.
That's
the
funny.
only thing that makes sense for a lot of netizens, that she wanted to do this to make a lot of money to promote her OnlyFans, is the theory.
She's not smart.
But then once it's done, she realized she broke a bunch of laws. Maybe the video starts going viral and everyone's like, hey, actually, this is so illegal. And she maybe starts freaking out and decides, I'm gonna not flee, but take a little vacation.
I'm assuming this
I'm gonna take a vacation.
Tell you, like on the employee's manual, like this is what you cannot do.
Yes,
You would
and it seems
hope.
like it's been happening more frequently. I know that there have been a few higher profile cases of female prison guards that were fired for having intimate relations. I believe one had gotten pregnant with an inmate's child, and another one had tattooed the inmate's name onto her thigh. And some of them will even go as
Why?
far to tattoo the inmate's cell number, which feels very temporary, because I feel like they could get moved to a different cell.
Yeah. What?
But it gets very serious. We're gonna get into the seriousness later, but
Okay,
yeah.
so it
That's
sounds like
so
she got the
weird.
job.
Okay, I'm gonna do the
Do you
bathroom.
think she got the job for this purpose?
That's what a lot of netizens believe.
I
Because
believe
her family
it.
said it was a little random, just kind of out of nowhere. Nobody knew that she was.
I mean, if her
interested in
sister
becoming a
immediately
prison
went
guard.
to that,
It seems like there were likely more ways for her to make better money, perhaps, considering she had gone on that reality show. She was a personal trainer.
Right. So maybe she thought the video would just stay in private, like OnlyFans paywall.
Yes, and perhaps she thought
She dumb.
maybe people would think it's a hoax. It wouldn't become like this international thing. It would get just
Girl.
enough attention to her account, perhaps, where she would blow up and make a ton of money.
oh dumb.
Because this, actually, when this video first came out, it was briefly debunked. It was briefly like, oh, that's not actually a prison. It's not a real cell.
Like a fake video.
Yeah, it's like a wannabe set.
I see.
Lol.
Wow.
So she called her boss on the way to the airport, letting them know that her husband is going to return the rest of her work equipment and she's not going to be returning to work ever again. She technically states that she's going to visit relatives in Madrid. She was arrested at Heathrow Airport in London.
Hello.
She's facing life in prison.
I am from Seattle, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
For misconduct in a public space. Like misconduct in a public agency. Because she works for the government.
Wait, she may get life in prison?
It's highly doubted she'll get life in prison, but I think that this
Oh my
charge,
God.
there's no specific charge for the specific crime that she committed. So this is the overall charge that it could fit into. So that, the max is life in prison, but I highly doubt she's going to get max in prison. Other female guards that have been found having intimate relations with inmates, they did maybe like 3, 4 years on average. She might get more because she filmed it. Yeah, but
Yeah,
she
it's
is
not good.
she is out on bail, but she came onto Instagram to post. Hello once again, Instagram. I hope you can appreciate this is going to be a very awkward and uncomfortable conversation for me to have. I just thought I really needed to come on here and clarify a few things. First thing being, there
bathroom
has
is
been a
big.
lot, and I mean a lot,
I didn't mean to make it this
a
big.
tremendous amount of fake profiles of me that have been monetizing off of my misfortune and scandal that the entire world has somehow managed to be involved in. I have not monetized one fucking bit at all. This is my only social media platform, and I only just activated it again. So if you come across fake
Why is
profiles
she so mad?
of me asking for money, please don't fall for it. There have been a lot of fake GoFundMes and a lot of fake OF accounts that are
Yes,
not
kitten?
me. I do apologize if you have fallen from it. From the bottom of my heart, I apologize. I really want to clarify that this is my only social media account, and I just came back on. On the topic of
baby.
impersonation, I thought it'd be very
Yeah,
important for
baby.
me to address this very distasteful
Really?
subject of OnlyFans creators impersonating me. So after this video went viral,
Yeah,
a lot
baby.
of OF creators started doing prison videos.
Girl,
But
they
not
were doing
actually in
prison videos
like on
before.
sets.
I'm gonna be
Some
so
of them
for
would
real
look
with
like
you.
Linda or try to dress like Linda and act like that was Linda's full unreleased. Yeah.
Get it?
She said, pretending to be me and recreating
Aw.
the scenario of
Aw,
sex
you're
scandal
sad
which I
people
am
are doing
involved
what
in.
you did, but
Very, very
ethically?
distasteful
Aw.
for you to monetize or advertise yourself as me
Aw.
for OF content. It does interfere with my trial, but furthermore is incredibly distasteful. Please, if you are an OF creator,
That's
refrain from
funny.
tagging said prison. We all know the name of the prison. Please refrain from tagging HMP Wandsworth on your stupid videos. There are other jails in the world. You don't have to pretend to be me. It is very distasteful. The fact that she's calling people out for distasteful activity.
Yeah, this is crazy. Like, she's like, tag
Oh,
someone,
that's
don't
so
copy mine.
funny.
Yes, and so that's why a lot of people think that she did this for the purpose of promoting her OnlyFans, because she seems very upset that other people are monetizing and she wasn't able to, because at this point she's knee-deep in legal troubles that there's no way she can monetize.
Oh, that's great, actually. I love
She
that.
says, and lastly, I wanted to tell you that all of you do not know my side of the story. The media has a great way of getting the narrative, twisting it for their benefit. The media love any story to
sure.
be salacious and sensational. They sensationalize everything. You don't know my side of the story, and we will leave it at that for now.
I think other
Okay.
OnlyFans creators making money by acting to be you is probably the least of your concern at this point. You're facing life in prison.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
And this is what most of her rant is about.
Is
So
it
she's
really?
like, "We will
That's
leave it at
so
that for now."
funny.
But then she comes back with another Instagram story. And she says, whilst I'm here, this also has to be addressed. Whilst I'm here, you don't know who has you. You don't know who are your friends
Girl.
until shit hits the fan. Honest to God, family, friends, you need to pick them very carefully. Very, very carefully. There have been people going behind my back. The media have been following me everywhere. I can't go anywhere without being paparazzi'd. It's very annoying, and a lot of the time it's people who you thought had your back, and they just don't, and that's been really heartbreaking on top of all of this, on top of everything. So that's just advice for
Aw.
everybody to pick very carefully
That must be
who
so
you have around
hard.
you. She later states that she agreed to film the video because she's claiming the inmates had found out about her other explicit
Girl,
videos, and they were going to make it known
you would just
to
quit.
the other inmates that she was filming those types of videos, which normally
You would just
I might
quit.
be able to understand this type of motivation and feeling of being blackmailed. There have been reports from other prison guards.
You're
female
making
prison
money
guards
off
specifically,
OnlyFans.
that
It
if
doesn't
you
really
give any
make
bit of
sense that you
personal
need
information
this
or
other
inmates
fucking
find out about
job.
it,
So
they will
like,
try to hold it over you. They will try to hold it over you to get sexual favors, to get you to smuggle in phones,
I need a big
drugs, whatever
mirror.
it may be. They'll try to blackmail you and try to ruin your life. You feel trapped. But I'm not sure that this was that situation at all. She was on the show Open House. I'm pretty sure her OnlyFans was pretty public. I think everyone
That's what
knew
I'm
what she was
saying,
doing in her
like-
free time. If the inmates find out, I don't think it's some crazy secret she needs to keep. I don't know how that interferes with her job, because what are they going to do? I'm going to tell your husband? She was on the show with her husband. I'm going to ruin your life and tell everybody? What
yeah,
do
it
you
makes
mean?
no sense. Like, you have no
She
reason.
didn't say that she was forced, by the way. That's not the verbiage that she's using, but just so she felt compelled to have intimate relations with this inmate so that they would keep the secret.
Right.
Her other argument is that she was generally just having a hard time at work and her marriage was not going well. She has pled guilty to misconduct in public office. She faces a life sentence, but also she states that she found God. Yeah, which is, she says, a great
A
source of comfort
life
for her.
sentence?
A very close friend of Linda states Linda was going through a very hard time at work. She was having lots of problems in her marriage. She's absolutely
we're almost
devastated by
at the
what
end.
happened and is clearly full of remorse. It's just
I guess we'll have to
devastating, and
finish
she's
this
trying to
build
rebuild
on the
her life.
next
They're a lovely couple
stream.
and working hard to save their marriage. It's not been easy for them. People are trying to make out that
No!
Linda is some kind of monster, but that's not the case at all. There's a lot more to the story than people think.
No, I think I
Some
can
of the
finish
prisoners
this. I'm
got a
almost
hold of
done.
Linda's personal details. They knew her address, her husband's name, and that she had an OnlyFans account. She was put under a lot of pressure. And there
How
was
is she
a lot
getting
of
life?
coercion
I mean, like,
involved.
I'm
It wasn't hard
confused.
for the other
Hold on.
prisoners to get a hold of Linda's personal details and everything. And she's just a very kind and caring person who made a terrible, terrible mistake. We all get things wrong in life, and people shouldn't be so quick to judge her.
What country is it?
Which is... I do agree, though. I see a lot of comments like... If this were a man in Linda's shoes, this would be
3
the
hours,
most
3
unhinged
hours.
statement. So I think it should apply in this case as well. The prosecutors do judge her. In fact, the prosecutors do not believe Linda's version of events. They state this was a shocking breach of the public's trust. She was clearly an enthusiastic participant who wrongly thought that she would avoid responsibility.
Yeah.
There is no excuse for any prison officer who
Is
conducts
she
themselves
guilty
in
for
such a manner, and
sure?
we will never hesitate to prosecute those who abuse their position of power. So not only is it abuse of power, but I will say there's that power imbalance. Others are pointing out that at one point the inmate had his hands around her neck. Her baton and taser were just right there, free for them to grab. It was a clear violation, but also a huge safety risk for other guards and the other inmates in the facility.
Yeah.
It also puts a clear target on female officers' backs. A lot of them have stated when stories like this come out, it almost furthers the, quote, commodification of female officers as meat. The way that these male inmates already see
I'm gonna be
female
so
heroes
honest,
like
this is
correctional
not
officers
impacting
is
that
they
at
want
fucking
to
all.
do
That's
cruel
already
things
the
to them.
case.
And once one of them
Like,
gets
that's
in,
not
they feel like it
gonna-
can happen to them. They just need to try harder.
That's not gonna...
And it makes
Like, they
these
already think that. That's not
workers'
changing anything.
jobs so much more difficult, and it borderlines sexual harassment and assault in some very dangerous cases. There's also a lot of questions about how she was even hired, considering she allegedly had a public Facebook post with a caption that read, "What's your type? For me, bandits, outlaws, and criminals."
Okay.
There is an investigation being held. It's
Well.
likely that the prison was incredibly understaffed, and that's why they hired her. And this is just not a good look for HMP Wandsworth. So a few months ago, September 2023, well, I guess not a few months ago, but not that long ago, an inmate named Daniel Khalif was in prison for charges related to espionage and terrorism. He allegedly planted a fake bomb at the Ministry of Defense,
Lol.
which is kind of a big deal. And he allegedly tried to gather useful information for enemy states, enemy countries. Now, he was in prison awaiting his trial. He was a relatively good inmate. He secured a job at the prison's kitchen until he didn't.
What
Because he created these very
country
strong
is it?
ropes. I think he used cloth-like materials, and he used it to tie himself underneath a food delivery truck. He escaped from one of the largest prisons in Britain. He was on the run for 75 hours.
Huh.
So, yeah, you could say it's understaffed. Things do slip through the cracks at HMP Wandsworth.
No kidding.
According to a lot of news publications, Linda's father-in-law, so this is her
I don't know what
husband's
to
dad.
fucking put here.
He was kind of the spokesperson for the husband.
Couch?
Nobody knows what Linda's husband is doing. Is he
New.
staying with her? Is he not staying with her?
I
We
know.
don't know. They have a
Diamond
child
table.
together. That's all we know. But the father-in-law stated this was something that happened where she was on her own. She was the person in charge, and she was the one who needs to take responsibility as far as I'm concerned. Her husband, my son, didn't know what she was doing. She's an idiot as far as I'm concerned. As for the inmate
Damn.
video, his mom also commented. So Linton's mom stated, if they're offering it on a plate, then the guy's gonna take it, you know what I mean? She goes on to state that while her son deeply regrets his actions, the fault lies alone with Linda, the prison guard. His mom also states that he used to have dreams of playing football and starring on Love Island, the reality show, before landing himself in prison. One netizen suspects that Linda and her husband were both in on it because it doesn't make sense. One comment reads, this is all a grift on their part. She's an OF model and swinger, getting notoriety for doing a bad job while doing spicy things does nothing but drive traffic to her page.
I have
Another
to agree.
one comments, it doesn't matter. She definitely thinks that essaying a man will get her a light sentence because she's a woman. I hope the judge proves her wrong. While some
There.
netizens, they just didn't take it seriously at all.
Perfect.
One of them comments, this makes me want to get sentenced. Which, again, is not good for female COs. Because it's...
Yeah.
And then another person comments, she's dealing with a hardened criminal. She is currently out on bail, conditional bail, so she's being heavily monitored until her sentencing in November, where she does, in fact, face life in prison.
It's
And that is
so
the case
surprising
of
that
Linda
it's
Deception.
life.
I mean, I don't even know what to say about this case. It's just such a... I know that a lot of people were taking this case very lightly because it's hee-hee-ha-ha shocking, right? But
Like,
when you really
she should
think about
definitely
the
get
ripple
prison
effect of what
time,
it's doing to all
for
the other
sure.
female COs,
But at the same
what it's
time, I'm
doing
like,
inside
damn,
the
life is
prisons, and the fact that
harsh.
this even happened in the first place. And what if it wasn't Linton? What if it was somebody else that decided that they were just going to get rid of Linda and try to break out or escape or let other inmates out? I mean, this could have really been very bad on so many levels.
But yeah, no, she's really
What are your
stupid.
thoughts? Let me know in the comments, and please stay safe, and I will see you.
Damn, that's crazy. Holy shit. Both of those stories were crazy. Alright, let me put down final chair here. Or two. Here, you match. Oh. It's like, why isn't it copying? But it's because it's technically a debug item, I think. And then I want to put a table behind it, and then I'm done. And then I'm done after I put a rug down. Alright, tables, a rug, boom. Yay! It's so cute! Oh. Ta-da! Ta-da! All done. Yay! All right. Let's save that there. And I'm back here. Whew, well, this is a fun little stream. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm gonna go take a quick little break, and then I will be back on over to Fansly. I'm gonna try to start the like intro music as close to 7-ish as I can. I don't know how long it'll take me to do everything. I'm gonna try to aim for 7 o'clock. If I'm a little late, it's because I'm trying to do stuff. But it is an apartment, yeah. Little apartment. But I will be over on Fansly in like half an hour to max an hour, so I'll be back soon. All right. Yay. Yes, catch the replay of the second one. But everyone go get dinner. We're gonna watch the debate. So, as in like the, oh my god, why am I blinking? The VP debate. We're watching the VP debate. So, I will get a copy of that from somewhere off YouTube and I'll link you guys on Fansly. But I'll see you guys in Fansly in not that long. Otherwise, I'll see you guys back on here next week. And we will actually do some gameplay, I think, next week instead of building. So, yeah. Alright. It is because I wait along the stream. Actually, it's because I was kind of late to this stream is why. I'll be late to next stream, but anyway, see you soon. All right, have a good weekend. Otherwise, if you don't make the next stream, I will have some content up on Fansly. I'll have the Cinderella video up soon here, and then Sleeping Beauty is up tomorrow. So, all right, bye. See you guys next time, or see you in like a little bit. Okay, bye.